All right. It's Galaxy time. It's been a lot of buzz. Oh shit, that would be my stream. That needs to not echo. That'd be cool. That's nice. We need to not have the stream echoing on my tablet. That would have been awkward. Anyway, hello. Hopefully you've been having a good week. Hopefully your weekend's been off to a good start. Hopefully you can hear me? Is my audio coming through? Yes, it is. Okay, cool. I was worried there for a second. I wasn't sure if my audio was coming through or not, but it is. We're cool. We're fine. We're chill. We chill. Anyway, yeah, there's been a lot of buzz about the Galaxy games recently with the announcement of the collection coming to Switch and Switch 2 next week, which is kind of crazy. We've been memeing about Galaxy 2 being forgotten by Nintendo for so long, and now finally they're giving us what we've been asking for really since 3D All-Stars came out, and probably even before that for some people. But all good things to those who wait, I suppose. So now the plan here is we're gonna replay through the original Galaxy on 3D All-Stars as sort of a build-up in anticipation for when the collection comes out next week, because even though both games are being added to, are coming out as a part of the collection, obviously Galaxy's already been on the Switch in the form of 3D All-Stars, and the main thing I'm interested in is Galaxy 2 coming to Switch, not so much Galaxy 1, because even though Galaxy 1 is getting quality of life updates like assist mode and mouse support and a new chapter to the storybook and all that stuff, it's not really anything that would incentivize me to, well, one, buy it, and two, play it. So, yeah, I figured no harm in, because I don't want to jump into Galaxy 2 and then go back to Galaxy 1. I want to start with Galaxy 1 and then we'll go to Galaxy 2. Yeah, it's been quite a while since the last time I played this game. Well, I guess maybe you don't consider, 9 months, almost to the day, or 8 months almost to the day. I don't know if you consider that a while, but it's been a decent amount of time since I've last played this game. So I'm eager to jump back into it, and we'll do Yoshi, because I usually do Toad. I used to do my Mii as the planet, but obviously on Switch, it's not really an option. I wonder if that's one of the things they'll add as a quality of life thing, is because I know that the Miis aren't exactly what they used to be, but they do still have, like, I have my little guy up here. There he is. I have my little guy there. So, I wonder if that is one of the things that they'll add. Anyway, why am I streaming so early? It's 11 a.m. This is my normal streaming time. And I guess it might be early in your time zone, but this is my normal streaming time. I usually stream at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Why am I not playing this on the Wii? Just better quality. Game looks better on Switch. Every 100 years, a comet appears in the sky above the Mushroom Kingdom. The comet was so large one year, it filled the skies and sent countless shooting stars raining down. The Toads brought the shooting stars to the castle where they became a great power star. It should have been a very happy time for the citizens of the Mushroom Kingdom. That was the night of the Star Festival, held once every 100 years to celebrate the comet.
I'll be waiting for you at the castle on the night of the Star Festival. There's something I'd like to give you.
Oh wait, I forgot she actually voices this in this game. I forgot that I don't need to provide a voice. Peach does it for me in this game. It's not always the case. How have I been doing? Honestly, can't complain. I've been doing marvelously. I had a very, very good week. Obviously, the new video came out on Monday. Was very warmly received. In terms of raw numbers, I haven't had a video be that successful since the days of Incredibles 2 back in 2022. So, pretty happy about that. Pretty happy with the comments I've been receiving. People's sharing their messages about how much they enjoyed it. It came together. The video came together pretty quickly, all things considered. Because when the news dropped, once again, I was on vacation. But I put the script together. I wrote it in about a day, and redrafted it in about a day. Recorded it in a day. And then I got sick. I got COVID, so that knocked me out of commission for a little bit. But then once I was starting to recover, I think the total editing time was about 2 weeks, start to finish. So it came together pretty quickly, and given that it came together pretty quickly, I was I'm pleased with how it turned out and how it was received. And then past that point, I had a very productive week working on future projects. Took a couple of days to just relax after the video came out, and then got back into the swing of things pretty quickly. So, yeah, I am doing very well. I hope that you all are having a good week as well. Why am I avoiding you? What? Man, okay, listen. If I'm avoiding you, I'm avoiding everybody. I haven't been reading really many messages in chat today, just because I've been yapping about a bunch of stuff. I promise I'm not singling you out. Do I prefer Owl House or Knights of Guinevere? Well, so, I mean, Owl House, just because, one, there's more of it, and two, what the Owl House has done for my life is incomparable to most other pieces of media. Like, we only have one episode of Knights of Guinevere so far, so, you know, just, it's hard to compare because we have 43 episodes of Owl House. But, you know, I'm still very impressed with what I've seen of Knights of Guinevere. It's a very, very strong pilot, and I'm very much hoping that it gets greenlit so we can see more of it. And it's possible that by the end I will end up preferring Knights of Guinevere, because there's so much potential in, well, I mean, preferring it as, like, as a story. As far as my personal allegiance for what it's done for me, I think that's always going to lie with Owl House unless something extraordinarily unbelievable happens. But yeah, that's my answer for now. Progress on the Pixar ranking vid. As of right now, it's still just, I'm half done recording audio. But like I said, my current priority right now is going to be to get the Toy Story 1 love letter done, because the anniversary is coming up in about a little less than 2 months. So, I got to get cracking on that. You enjoy my love letter to Toy Story 3? Well, thank you very much. That was a labor of love for about a year of my life, putting all the pieces of that together. That was probably, even more so than the Owl House, I think that's the most relief I've ever felt releasing a video. Specifically when Part 3 came out and the ending sequence and all that stuff. Have you ever played Little Nightmares? No, I have not. How's the Toy Story 30th anniversary retrospective video been going? Pretty good. I have about a 20-page outline right now, so now it's just a matter of refining that. And when it comes to writing a script for a video, I am very much structure based. Like I do all the experimentation in the outlining stage, because it's easier to move things around and figure things out when it only exists in the form of a basic outline. So as far as, like, should this section go here, should that go, that was a big thing for the Owl House video, actually, was trying to figure out the order in which to talk about all the different characters, because obviously the main structure for that was Part 1 was broad things, music, story, all that stuff. Part 2 was all the character analysis, and then Part 3 was the finale. So Part 3 and Part 1 were always pretty rigid, but Part 2 was, in what order should I talk about these characters? Because I knew Luz needed to be last. That was the one thing I had set in stone. So at that point, it was just kind of reverse engineering and working backwards from there as to how do I get to that point in the most logical way. Because the idea, there aren't really proper transitions between the characters. I tried to write in a way to where it should feel seamless to you, going from one to the other, and figuring all that out was a massive pain in the ass. But yeah, it's in an outline stage right now, and now I just gotta refine it, and once I'm happy with that, I'll turn it into a script and record it. Finally, you're awake! Let's play! Let's play indeed. Do I think I'll do a love letter to Toy Story 2? You know, I've gotten a lot of comments about that, both on Discord and YouTube, just like, hey, you've done one for Toy Story 1, you've done one for Toy Story 3, are you gonna do one for Toy Story 2? And all I'll say for now is, it sure would make sense for me to do that, but at the moment, I'm taking things one video at a time. I don't want to get too, because if I start trying to think like 20 videos ahead, then I just get bogged down and I try to overwhelm myself, and it doesn't end well. I'm focusing on one thing at a time, and then we'll see what happens next. Let's play hide and seek. If you catch all of us, we'll tell you about where you are. Dicks. Am I excited for SpongeBob Titans of the Tide and Search for SquarePants? Titans of the Tide is the new game coming out in November, right? If so, excited might be a strong word, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. And then Search for SquarePants, no, I'm not really interested in that at all. I'm not, like, hating the fact that it exists, but I'm not, I currently have no plans of seeing it.
Oh, I knew I should have hidden in the crater.
You'd love to see a video about Toy Story 2? It's your personal favorite Pixar movie? I think a lot of people would probably like to see that, because I'm aware of the amount of people that hold Toy Story 2 in such high regard. I say that as if I don't. Like, having just rewatched the trilogy, every time I watch Toy Story 2, it makes me want to, like, launch, as soon as the credits roll and you hit the final note of Wheezy's song, it makes me just want to leap out of my chair and give a standing ovation to the movie, because it's so unbelievably good. So yeah, I know it's something that people would probably want to see, but like I said, one thing at a time. We will get there eventually. Now, where is this grass patch? Because they hide in the crater, they hide in the pipe, and then they hide in the grass. I'll find it one of these days. Have I seen the Plankton movie? No. I've only seen the original three. I say original three. I've seen the original SpongeBob movie. I've seen Sponge Out of Water. And I've unfortunately also seen Sponge on the Run. Which, I don't I know some people are fond of Sponge Out of Water. I'm certainly not one of those people. But I know it has its appeal. Sponge on the Run, I don't see that appeal at all. Ah, here it is. There you are, little shit. I do not see what the appeal of Sponge on the Run, apart from the songs, particularly Secret to the Formula. But the problem is Secret to the Formula is embedded in a web of bullshit. Because the lead up to it is all the characters expositing how they actually secretly met SpongeBob a long time ago at Camp Coral, which is, like, obviously massive retcons because they're trying to promote the new Camp Coral show, which I've heard nothing but amazing things about.
Wow, you caught all of us? Maybe you really can help Mama.
Camp Coral is garbage? What? No, it can't be. I'm sure it's... I mean, surely if they hijacked so much of the runtime of Sponge on the Run to promote it, surely it must be kind of good, right? Surely. No, I don't get... no. Do I like Breaking Bad or Better Call Doll? I don't know about Doll, but Better Call Saul... I like Breaking Bad more. But that's not to diminish Better Call Saul. They're both extraordinary shows.
I've been watching you from here. This place is called the Gateway to the Starry Sky. My name is Rosalina. I watch over and protect the cosmos. To save your special one, you'll need the power to travel through space. Luma can give you this power. I will entrust you with his care.
Oh, also, quick heads up. It's storming pretty bad outside my house right now. So, 1, sorry if you hear any rumblings in the background. 2, if the stream suddenly goes down for any reason, it's probably because lightning struck and knocked the power and or internet out. You have the ability to spin now. Shake, or you can also spin with Y.
Disaster has struck us just as it has visited you. With Luma, I hope you can rescue the grand stars. May the stars shine down on you.
Have I seen Death Note by any chance? If yes, what are my thoughts on it? I've seen the first couple episodes of Death Note, and I liked what I saw. It wasn't, I didn't like it enough to where I was super fired up about, you know, watching all of it. But I did enjoy what I watched. Maybe one day I'll come back to it. It's just, the problem is it's just so many other things that I want to watch. There's not enough time in the world to experience all the things that I want to. Can I tell FG to send you the Spider-Man commentary? Well, the thing with, one, just on a principled notion, if, I don't want to just, like, send a commentary to one specific person. If we were going to release it, we'd release it for everyone. The reason why we haven't, in case anyone's unfamiliar, FG and I recorded commentaries on the Amazing Spider-Man movies a couple years ago, and we haven't released them because... it turns out, so we record, for every, to add some context, every time we record commentaries, we always do it through Discord. And basically, we all watch the movie on our own, and then we sync it up. So, like, when I say 3, 2, 1, go, right at the beginning, it's so that's how we sync. Like, we all press play on our copy of the movie all at once when I say go. That's how we sync it up. We record our audio individually, and then I just sync it all up in the editing process. And the reason, well, the reason we do it is because we don't live in the same place. We're all over the globe, so that's literally the only way we could do this. But the other reason why, even apart from that, is because when we all watch it separately on our own devices and we record our audio independently, it allows us to not have any echo. But when we recorded the Amazing Spider-Man movies, FG and I were in the same room. We were at her house, and the microphone was in front of us. Like, we weren't using headphones to watch the movie. We were just doing it through her home theater speakers. And I asked her, like, isn't the movie gonna echo through this microphone if we do it like this? And she said, no, because you see, I have a special microphone. It'll only capture audio from one side. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure we're in a surround sound room, but you know what? You know your mic, I don't know your mic, so I'm gonna trust that you know what you're talking about. So we get back, and we had a really good time recording it, much though those movies are not exactly up to snuff. We did have a good time recording it, and I was excited to get it back in editing and start putting it together a video. And then I realized, oh no, it's all broken, because the microphone did not, in fact, only pick up audio from one side of the microphone. It picked up exactly what I feared. It picked up our audio and the movie audio, so we're basically inaudible, and any noise removal I've tried to do to either dampen or outright remove the movie audio just ends up making us sound terrible. Which is a shame, because I really did like those commentaries, but that's the reason. I promise we're not holding anything back. It's like, well, maybe if we reach a sub-milestone, we'll realize it. Like, it is not in a state where either of us would be happy to show it to anybody. Except to be like, listen to how terrible this is. What encouraged me to watch Whiplash? Avert. Because it's his favorite movie of all time. And I didn't watch it of my own accord. We were just in a Discord call one night, and he's like, hey, you want to watch Whiplash? And I'm like, sure. So he streamed it for me and Guganic. It wasn't like, I would never have watched it were it not, well, okay, maybe not never. I'm sure with all the trades we've been doing, he would have inevitably traded it at some point, because he did trade La La Land, which is, I think, his second favorite movie of all time. But in that moment, the reason I watched it was just because he's like, hey, let's watch a movie. I want to show you Whiplash. And I said, okay. So that's what we did. Remember my top 20 games? I said Galaxy 2 is keeping me from selling my Wii U. Yeah, well, not anymore. There was no longer anything that would keep me, because that is really the only thing I ever would use my Wii U for, was to play Galaxy 2, and now I don't need to.
The beacon is lit again. It shines weakly, maybe only as bright as a Class 6 star, but at least the poor Lumas will survive now. Oh, thank you for saving the Grand Star. These star people are my family. They mean so much to me. Welcome to the Comet Observatory. It's my home, and also home to the Lumas. You see, we travel the starry skies. We pass by this area once every 100 years, but we suddenly stopped in front of this planet. A strange force had latched onto our ship, pulling away starbits and our power source, Power Stars. Our ship had lost power, so it entered a deep hibernation state in which it could not move. Those who took your special one picked up the Power Stars, and discovered the power to cross the universe. Please, I have a request. This observatory uses star power to project images of the galaxies that are scattered across space. And there is a chance we can use our few remaining stars to look for other power stars. These round rooms are called domes. We observe galaxies from domes such as these, but the only one that is working now, powered by the star power you restored, is this one, the Terrace. Please go to the Terrace and try to recover the power stars from the galaxies you can see from there. If we do that, we'll be able to restore the Comet Observatory's ability to fly like a starship. Then perhaps we can pursue the thieves who ran off with the power stars.
Save your game. Ordinarily, I would say no, because it saves time. I usually only save at the end of a session, but because the storm is looking questionable right now, I'm probably going to save after every star. Or at least after every galaxy. Just to be on the safe side, because I do not want to be... I don't want to be screwed over by losing power.
Welcome. This dome acts as an eye of the observatory. From here, we can gaze upon distant galaxies. Once this Luma transforms into a pole star, he will guide you to those faraway galaxies. Simply point your cursor at the pole star and press A. If you lose sight of the cursor, you can reset it with R. If you're playing in handheld mode, you can just tap the pole star directly on the screen.
And away we go. Will I see FNAF Movie 2 when it releases? Yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot. Because I do believe that they have been paying attention to the discourse and are probably aware of the first movie's faults. Because Scott said, like, he's been paying attention. He knows where they could have improved. So I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they have improved. But if I go see movie 2 and it ends up being just as bad as movie 1, then at that point I'm just done. I don't care anymore.
Yes, it's undeniable. We're detecting power star energy patterns in the nearest galaxy. But I must warn you that the EVO energy readings are off the charts. Please be careful.
Fly to the galaxy. Have I seen episode 6 of The Amazing Digital Circus? Yes, I am fully caught up on The Amazing Digital Circus, and it is, in fact, amazing. It's kind of hard to rank the episodes, because some people have asked me, like, how would you rank the episodes? And I'm like, I have no idea, because they're all so consistently well written that it really is hard to parse out the distinctions between them. But generally speaking, I think I'm happy to say that they've been getting better, and like their craft has been improving with each episode, which is what you'd want to see out of that kind of show. So I'm pretty... Yes, still made it even without Luigi's extra jump. I'm very happy with that show. And I think episode 6 is my favorite of the bunch. The way they're able to balance their humor with their exceptional humor and their really surprisingly powerful emotional beats is above and beyond what I ever would have expected from the show. My only wish with Digital Circus is that they would lean more into the horror aspects. Because the first episode had this really great part with Pomni going through the, well, trying to remain spoiler-free for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the part where she goes through the door, I think that's vague enough. That was a really effective sequence, and I wish the show leaned more into that stuff, because it is really funny, and the character stuff is really, really cool, and I love it. I know, I was hoping to see more out of that. Maybe we'll see more of it in the final few episodes, because I think there's only going to be like 10 of them, and we're at 6, so we're coming up on the end here pretty soon. And I'm hoping that they'll lean a little more into that the closer we get to the finale. But that is really my only wish with the show, as far as what I'd be hoping to see out of it. That has not been provided. I mean, there was one bit in I think episode 2 where they pick up a new friend and then they go back to the circus and that thing happens that really caught me off guard. But I wish I saw more of that, is all. Digital Circus is 9 episodes? Okay. Well, in any case, we're getting close to the end, is what I mean. It's a very limited run, which I appreciate. That, you know, they're not just trying to drag it out to infinity and beyond. They have a very particular story in mind, and once it's done, it'll be done. Do I have a preference between Galaxy or Odyssey? I prefer Galaxy. Galaxy 2 is one of my most memorable gaming experiences. For the first time I played, I mean, it took me years to beat it because I was a stupid kid, but when I finally beat the perfect run, after so much, like finding all the green stars, finding all the hidden stars, because when I first played it, I was just kind of blitzing through, not really worrying about finding any of the secret stuff, But then at some point, I'm like, you know, I love this game so much, I should probably actually try to finish it. And then I did, and I was so happy when I finally conquered all the... I mean, I think my final death count was over 1,000, which is absurd. But yeah, I've always loved... I mean, I'm also a space nut. I love outer space and astronomy. And my dream as a kid was to be an astronaut. That was what I wanted to do with my life, was be out there exploring among the stars. Might also have something to do with what I saw in Buzz Lightyear as a character as a kid. So, you know, factor all those things together, and yeah, I always prefer Galaxy, but I think Odyssey is still the better made game overall. Why aren't streaming Mario Galaxy when the Mario Galaxy movie releases? Well, one, I'm not really that interested in the Mario movies. I'm more interested in Galaxy 2 coming to Switch, because I want to replay Galaxy 2 when it comes to Switch next week. And I didn't want to just jump straight in. I wanted to play Galaxy first, but I didn't want to wait until after I play Galaxy 2 to go back and play Galaxy 1. So I wanted to play this first. Have I played 2? Galaxy 2? Yeah, Galaxy 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Do I ever want to stream Undertale? God, no. One, I've already played Undertale, so any of the value you'd get out of it as a viewer, I think would probably be, because it is such a story-driven heavy game. But also, like, let's assume I've never played Undertale before. The way that YouTube chats and Twitch chats reacts to people who play that game blind and don't play it the exact way they want them to, no thanks. No thanks. Hoping Secret of the Mimic gets VR port soon, because you're curious to see my reaction to that game. I want to play it too. I really hope, hopefully for Halloween, that Steel Wool gives us something. I hope, because they did put a teaser on their Twitter yesterday, like, with a picture of a pumpkin and a question mark, so I'm hoping that means that a that a Secret of the Mimic VR mode is on the horizon. I'm very much hoping that comes out soon, because, like, people say that the game feels designed for VR, which I'm happy to believe, because Steel Wool's always been at their best when they make VR games, and they're at their worst with Security Breach. But regardless of any of that, I just want to play. I've heard, well, I don't know, because when the game first came out, I saw some people having a discussion on my Discord server about Secret of the Mimic, and I think some of them were pretty dissatisfied with some story elements, which I didn't read the specifics, because obviously I want to go in blind, but it does make me curious. Like, I really don't know generally how it's been received by the FNAF fandom, because I'm not really a part of the FNAF fandom anymore. But I am extremely curious in seeing how the game is, if I'll like it. And if nothing else, just getting another VR adventure in the world of FNAF, because Help Wanted 2 was amazing, Help Wanted was amazing, and Help Wanted 2, like, single-handedly reignited my passion for the franchise, and my faith in Steel Wool as a studio. So yeah, you could say I'm hoping Secret of the Mimic gets VR support sometime soon. At least by the end of the year, please. If we don't get it for Halloween, can I at least get it as a Christmas present? Can they at least give me Secret of the Mimic VR mode for Christmas? That'd be nice. What's my favorite level in this game? That's a tough... I really struggle to answer that question, but I think it's either Beach Bowl or... Well, okay, as far as specific level, that I think is actually impossible for me to answer. But as far as galaxies, I think I would go with either Toy Time Galaxy or Beach Bowl Galaxy. Because obviously Beach Bowl has, you know, the tropical aesthetic that, if you know anything about me, my favorite aesthetic to explore is beach and tropical locations. But then Toy Time Galaxy just has a very, very vibrant sense of childlike exuberance and wonder that I can't help but adore. Plus the big set piece with the giant toy mech robot thing that you have to climb up as it's disassembling is pretty awesome. So I'd probably go with that one. Or Beach Ball. Like I said, it's hard. It's hard because they're all, well, okay, not all of them. There's some duds here and there. Like I'm really not fond of Sling Pod Galaxy. It's great for grinding, but as to play, I find it obnoxious. I just can never do it. I'm still not very proficient at lining myself up to land in all the Sling Pods. Also, this is a funny story. When I did my original playthrough of Super Mario Galaxy on the channel a couple years ago, like when the pandemic happened, I had the thumbnail of the video was Mario in the Sling Pod, and I got in trouble with YouTube for that. They said, like, I had to change the thumbnail. I assume because they thought Mario in the Sling Pod was a, like, sexually explicit image kind of thing, or at least a suggestive image, which I thought was fucking stupid, but also kind of funny. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess maybe there's some leftover resentment from that whole disaster I had to go with. Favorite song in Super Mario Galaxy? Obviously Gusty Garden Galaxy. There's no competition. You bought the Indiana Jones DLC. Good decision, right? Will I play it? I have started playing it. I didn't do it on the channel because when I started playing it, that was around the time I was coming down with COVID, and I really wasn't in the mood to be recording anything. But I quickly realized, like, you know, I think I kind of just want to enjoy this for myself. I think I just kind of want to, without having to worry about making content for it, I just want to play this on my own time. And what I appreciate, I haven't beaten it, but what it seems to me like it is far more puzzle focused than the mainline game is. Like, it's almost exclusively a series of puzzle rooms, very little combat or stealth, which is good because that was always the strength of Great Circle, was its temple exploration and puzzle solving mechanics, and not its combat or its stealth, both of which tended to overstay their welcome. I don't know why they thought stealth was such a critical thing to have in an Indiana Jones game of all things. But it is what it is. The game has its flaws, it has its strengths. I'm overall satisfied with my experience. I don't regret the time that I spent with Great Circle. For your favorite song, I think it has to be the final boss theme. Oh, that's the other thing. Is like I think it is, you know, because Gusty Garden's the most iconic track in the game for good reason. It's been brought back again and again and again across various Nintendo games. But really, the Mario Galaxy soundtrack is so phenomenal that you could pick pretty much any track and no one would bat an eye. Looking forward to Hazbin Hotel Season 2 next month? Absolutely, I am. I hope it's better than Season 1, because Season 1, I'd say they did the best job they could, because not all, but most of my issues with Season 1 of Hazbin Hotel can be boiled down to, I wish they had more time, because there's a lot of great stuff in there. It's just, they didn't have time to really let the arcs breathe, which is a shame. Like, it all could have been so great if they just had more time, which they clearly didn't. And the thing is, I don't even think they're getting that much more time with Season 2. I'm pretty sure it's still 8 episodes, and they're just going to be slightly longer episodes. But the thing is, in animation, every second counts, so even if they make the jump from 22-minute episodes to, like, 30-minute episodes, that's a lot of time for animation. So, I'm optimistic that they will have improved upon Season 1. But if even after getting a little extra time, Season 2 still doesn't improve on some of Season 1's weaker points, that will be disappointing. It's kind of the same way I feel about Hell of a Boss, although not really, because I still like Hazbin Hotel Season 1 a lot, even though I could talk about its faults all day. But with Hell of a Boss, I never really found myself gravitating toward that show the same way a lot of people have. It just feels like Hell of a Boss doesn't know what show it really wants to be anymore, and the show that it has focused on isn't really something I'm personally interested in. Like, what the show started out as in Season 1 isn't really what it is anymore. And they ended Season 2 with one of the most eye-rollingly generic, tropey cliffhangers of all time, which I'm not gonna spoil if you haven't seen it, but that's my go-to. It's the thing with Millie. What they reveal about Millie, whenever, just generally speaking, whenever a show has that as its cliffhanger, I'm like, you're out of ideas on you, because it's just, I don't know, it just feels too generic. Like, so many shows, if they want to grab your attention for the next season, they'll do that, and I'm like, snore. Hazbin Hotel was just rushed and the pacing's too fast. Yeah, if that is the bulk of my issues with it, is just that it's a good story that needed more time to breathe. And I hope that Season 2 gives them, even for as little time as it may be in the grand scheme of things, I hope that it's still, they make use of what little extra time they are given. And, oh, wow, that was really bad timing. Invincibility Star ran out right as I came over the crest of the hill, and boom, chain chomp instantly. I am looking forward to, and I hope, because I feel like Amazon might have been a little lukewarm about Hazbin Hotel initially, but then when Season 1 came out and was a resounding success, even in spite of its faults, they realized, like, oh, people really like this show a lot. So they immediately threw everything they had at it and greenlit Seasons 3 and 4 before Season 2 had even come out. Which to me says, like, Amazon has faith in the show. At least they do now, and they want to support the show. They want to give Vivian Medrano and her team all the resources they need to make the show the best that it can be, because they're like, well, if people like the show this much, even in its current state, imagine how much they'd like it if they could really cook and had more time and resources to do that. So I'm hoping that when Season 3 comes around, assuming Season 2 ends up being good, of course, that they even further double down on it and be like, okay, now we're really gonna give you, like, I don't know, I don't necessarily think they need to be like full hour-long episodes. I think that might be a bit much, but just like, you know, longer than 22 would be nice. Maybe even closer to 40, or maybe just, how about this, is just however long Viv and her team think the episodes need to be to tell the story they want to tell. Would be nice. Where's Gugonic? Isn't he moderating? Well, you know, I don't force them to be here for every stream. It's not like I pay them to moderate my gaming streams or anything. They can pop in whenever they feel like. Some people give you shit online just for liking Hazbin Hotel. Honestly, just don't even listen to them. And what I will say about this, the online fandom in regards to Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss is pretty unbearably toxic. But in the real world, people are pretty awesome. Like, if you wear a Hazbin Hotel shirt, there's a pretty good chance that someone will recognize it and be like, oh, I love that show. That happened to me. I took a trip back in February, and I just casually, without even really thinking about it, I put on a Hazbin Hotel shirt, and in one day, like 4 separate people pulled me aside. Not even like, because I was at restaurants and a hotel, and it wasn't even like other guests or anything, or other customers. It was people who worked at the hotel or the restaurant, broke any degree of professionalism as soon as they saw my shirt, and they're like, oh my god, I love that show! Have you seen... And then the next question I always got was, have you seen Helluva Boss yet? Which was the awkward part of the conversation, because I don't really like Helluva Boss that much. I like parts of it, but not all of it. But yeah, it's a really good icebreaker. It's a really good way to meet new people. Because, like, you know, the internet doesn't represent reality, and broadly speaking, people really like Hazbin Hotel. Obviously, because, you know, it did crazy numbers so crazy that Amazon, obviously, like I said, greenlit 2 more seasons beyond the extra one they already greenlit. People on Twitter just hate everything. Oh yeah, but I think specifically in regards to Vivian Medrano's shows, it's especially bad. Like, I don't know that I've seen another creator get the level of flack that she does. And it's not even saying that all of it's unwarranted, because, you know, she has a pretty abrasive attitude sometimes when responding to people. So I understand why people may not necessarily be a fan of her. I'm not, like, saying she's some untouchable goddess. I just think the level of just instant bad faith that gets applied to her shows seems unreasonable a lot of the time. And it's kind of annoying. But I appreciate that it hasn't slowed her down. She's still kicking, still making shows that she's passionate about, even in spite of all that. It's pretty awesome. Thoughts on the new Wolverine game coming out? Not really interested. But I am hoping that just the fact that Insomniac is coming out with anything tells me they're still alive, which means we're one step closer to getting another Ratchet & Clank game. Because that's, oh my god, asshole followed me down the hole. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen before. The main thing I'm interested in from Insomniac games, well, really the only thing, at least based on what they currently make, is Ratchet & Clank. And it's been 4.5 years since the last Ratchet & Clank game. And I'm starting to think we may have to wait until the PS6 before we get another one, which is kind of disappointing, because, you know, they used to make Ratchet & Clank games a bit more frequently. I don't need one every year like a Call of Duty game, but, you know, more frequently than every 5 or 6 years would also be pretty cool. And I'm in this weird position where a lot of the stuff that I really like doesn't get made that often. Like I say, sometimes I joke that I wish I was really big into Marvel or Star Wars because of, like, they're constantly getting new stuff, but then it's like the stuff they get is crap most of the time. So I guess I should be grateful that the stuff I like doesn't, you know, gets very infrequent additions, but usually when they get new stuff, it's great. Like, Rift Apart's amazing. I just wish Insomniac would, because I just don't want them to become the Marvel studio, is my thing. My favorite Mario power-up? Oh gosh, I don't think feels like an impossible question to answer. But, I mean, if you're talking just in this game specifically, I kind of like B Mario. He's kind of cool. I don't know if that's a popular take or not, but I do kind of like B Mario. Although, actually, you know what? Ice Mario, because the Ice Flower in this game works very differently to how I am familiar with it working in the 2D Mario games. It's not just a reskin of the Fire Flower, it has its own unique properties for how it functions, which is pretty cool. So it might be that one. I'll tell you what it's not. It's not the Spring Mushroom. It's certainly not the fucking Spring Mushroom. That thing sucks. I hate it. Should Final Reckoning win an Oscar? An Oscar? Sure. It should at the very least win something for cinematography or visual... Well, okay. I mean, the thing with visual effects is that a lot of Final Reckoning is not visual effects. It's all Tom Cruise just inventing new ways to almost kill himself. That's done practically. But, like, yeah, cinematography, like, the aerial sequence alone should earn them an Oscar for cinematography. I also think it should be in the running for editing. Sound design. The sound design of the submarine. But, like, if you're talking, like, best picture or something, I don't think it would. I mean, I love the Final Reckoning, but I don't think it would... I would be deserving of that kind of a nomination. Favorite power-up in Galaxy 2 is Cloud Mario. Discovered a new galaxy. That we did. I should watch The Long Walk. That's actually on my list. That movie looks interesting. I do kind of want to see The Long Walk.
Mario, your name is Mario, isn't it? That's what I heard from your friends who just arrived. Mario, it has such a nice ring. Look. Your friends are waiting for you in the garage. I think they want to tell you something, so you'd best hurry on over there.
Have I seen K-pop Demon Hunters? No, I don't really think I would like it. It doesn't really seem like my cup of tea. I know a lot of people love it, and I'm happy people are liking it, but it just doesn't interest me. And I feel like if I did watch it, I probably wouldn't enjoy it, and I don't really like to watch things if I don't think I'm going to enjoy them. Do I want to do a Toad voice today? I'll give it a shot.
Mario! Somehow we made it too! We'll help you get the Power Stars and save Princess Peach! Wow! You can count on us, Mario! We're all in this together!
Cue High School Musical something or other. I'm not doing that every time. I wanted to do it once for funsies, but my voice will not survive if I do that every time. I've been kind of skipping over most of the dialogue. Like I'll read out the dialogue for major story stuff, like when we come back to Comet Observatory and all that, or when we meet Luigi, probably I'll do that too. But for like all the individual NPC interactions, I don't know. I think I'll probably just glaze over those. Thoughts on Shea Fearless Productions? Very good YouTuber. Like him a lot. What animated shows am I planning on checking out? Oh gosh, I have a whole list. Hold on, give me a second. I actually have a full list of shows I want to check out. Okay, so I want to watch the Tangled show because even though I love Tangled, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. For some reason, I haven't seen the Tangled TV series, which is like, if that confuses you, it confuses me just as much. I don't know why I haven't watched it up until now. I want to watch DuckTales 2017 because everyone says the DuckTales reboot is amazing. Ghost of Molly McGee is one, like, really the other Disney Channel shows I haven't seen, like Ghost of Molly McGee, Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur. I kind of want to check out the Ark animated series because Gareth Coker did the music for it, and I really like Gareth Coker's music. So if for no reason other than to hear more of his music, I kind of want to check that out. I want to watch The Simpsons because, you know, every clip of The Simpsons I've seen has made me laugh uncontrollably. So I'm like, I may as well just watch the show at this point. However, I will say, I started with season 1. I think that might have been a mistake because the first episode of Simpsons didn't really wow me the same way all the other clips I've seen of it are. I think people say that the show gets good at season 2, and then from that point until like season 8, it's consistently great. And then after that, it kind of starts to taper off a little bit. Other shows on my list: Kipo, My Adventures with Superman, Hilda, Dragon Prince, Little Witch Academia, Wakfu. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. Amazing Digital Circus is on here. That just because, but the reason it's on here is just because it's not finished yet. Because there's still more episodes to come out. I'm in the middle of watching Murder Drones, so that's on here as well. Meta Runner. And I promised some of my friends that I'd check out Spy X Family, My Hero Academia, and Toradora. My Hero Academia, I've watched a little bit of. Wasn't really a fan. Spy X Family, I watched a little bit of. Was a fan, and it's kind of like Death Note, where I liked it, and it made me happy when I watched it, but not to the point where I was, like, dying to watch more. My Hero Academia wasn't so much. And then Toradora is a show I don't know anything about, but promised a friend I'd check it out, so that's on the list as well. And I think that's all animated shows I currently have on my horizon, which kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, is like, there's just not enough time in the world to watch all this stuff, because so much... I really don't have that much time in my day to be able to watch stuff. I have like one block at the beginning, in the morning before I start work, where I can watch 1 or 2 episodes of something, and then I have a small block at the end of the day where I might want to watch something. But the thing is, after I'm done working for the day, sometimes I just want to chill. I just want to like zone out, listen to music, or just, you know, just relax. Don't necessarily want to watch a show. It's the give and take and the constant balancing act of a work life. Well, balance, for lack of a better word, I suppose. Do I think McHugh was the right choice for this franchise? I'd say so. I mean, Rogue Nation and Fallout are 2 of my favorite Mission Impossible movies. And I'm also quite fond of Dead Reckoning, even though Dead Reckoning and Final Reckoning, I am extremely fond of, even in spite of their faults. Final Reckoning especially, I'm really, really happy with it as the definitive bookend to the Mission Impossible series. Thoughts on the Ice Age movies? 1 is really good, 2 is meh, Dawn of the Dinosaurs is also really good, as is Continental Drift. Don't at me. Collision Course sucks, but it does have some heart to it, and it's watchable, which I can't say about the Buck Wild movie, which has no heart and is also unwatchable, or at least borderline unwatchable. To say it's unwatchable might be too harsh, but it's borderline. Oh, that movie is one of the worst things I've ever seen, honestly. After I'm done with Toy Story 1, am I going to get to the Pixar ranking? Like I said, I'm taking things one day at a time. Or one project at a time. I don't know what I'll be in the mood to make after the Toy Story 1 love letter. But I will at least keep working on it in the background. Like, even if it doesn't end up being the next thing I make, I'll still make some progress on it. Record a few more. Because the nice thing about the Pixar ranking is that it's very clearly delineated in terms of segments, because you have the segment for this movie and then the segment for this movie. So I can just, like, record it in really short batches, so I can make... It may take longer to make progress, but I still make progress. So... Yeah, that's one of the nice things about it. Whereas with some of my other projects, they're these massive multi-hour-long undertakings that are kind of one huge seamless experience. The neighbors are causing trouble again. We'd be most grateful for your assistance. Sure thing. Did Gagonic finish editing his part of the Sonic commentary? He is still actively working. In fact, that actually might be why he's not either A, not here, or B, not active in chat. Is just because he's editing the Sonic commentary. Because he's been hard at work on that over the last few weeks. Because you guys gotta understand, the Sonic triple feature is an enormous... I think it is the most intense undertaking we've ever had in terms of the commentaries. I don't know that we've ever done something to that scale before. So, it's a lot of movie to sift through, a lot of audio to sift through. I mean, basically the way we do things is I edit all the audio, and I cut out all the either the boring bits or the parts where we don't say anything, or the parts where we have technical issues. I parse out everyone's individual recordings so that if we're all talking over each other, you can still hear each of us. And then once I do the audio, I send that to him, and then he does all the funny visual edits and the memes and the reference clips and context and all that stuff. When will it come out? When it's done. That's when it'll come out. Which I know is kind of an unsatisfying answer, but that's all I can really give you for the time being. He's working on it every day, and it's coming together great. It just takes time to make these things. Are the Ice Age movies just road trip movies? Kinda. Yeah, I guess so. I guess each of them is kind of a road trip movie, although, I mean, one... Yeah, I guess there's no... Well, the Buck Wild one really isn't. One definitely is, because they're trying to get to the family. 2 is because they're trying to reach the boat. 3, I guess, is more of a rescue mission. And then 4 is a bit of a unique take on it, because, of course, they're out on the ocean. So it kind of fits the bill, but kind of not. And then Collision Course is a road trip movie, except there's apocalyptic end-of-the-world stakes. So yeah, I guess so. Did I play the Bonanza DLC? I can't justify spending $20 on something that costs as much as Silk Song. Alright, so... Any preference as to whether we go to Loop-de-Loop or Flip Switch Galaxy next? They're both pretty short, so we can do them... They only have 1 star each, but I'll do whichever one you guys are interested in. If you have no preference, I'll just pick whatever. Do I have any idea why people hate Ice Age 4? I think it might just be franchise fatigue, especially because Ice Age 3 is a really solid stopping point because it brings Manny's arc full circle from the first movie, as, you know, not wanting, no longer rejecting companionship and family and finally having one of his own. But 4 expands on that in a pretty cool way, and it's also just a fun movie. I think it's mainly just that it is the 4th movie, and the franchise has been going for 10 years at that point. Coin flip, pick your favorites, pick whatever, and then 1 vote Flip Switch. I guess Flip Switch wins. What's my favorite game that I own physically besides Dragon's Lair 3D? Well, I guess that'd be Battle for Bikini Bottom, because I own that physically. Although, I mean, I guess that is kind of true in both, because I was thinking of how to make that answer more interesting beyond just saying whatever is the next up on my list of favorite games of all time. And I guess it would be, as far as physical editions of games that I'm most happy to have, it's the physical edition of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, because it came with these 3 awesome statues of SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, and a bunch of other cool artwork and keychains, and basically just a collector's dream for anyone if you're a fan of Battle for Bikini Bottom. Even though Rehydrated I have lots and lots of problems with that game, it's still, like, in spite of how unpolished it is in a lot of areas, it's still a very faithful remaster for the most part, and I respect it a lot for revitalizing a game that I hold so dear. So, yeah, I'm happy to have that collector's edition. And I guess that would be my answer. Ice Age 4 almost made 900 million. Well, I mean, making money isn't necessarily indicative of people liking something, right? Because like you can go see something and people can and come away from it not enjoying it. I think that might just be brand recognition. Well, will I do a love letter for my favorite video games at some point? Well, I kind of did one for... I might rebrand the Dragon's Lair 3D video at some point just to make it fall more in line with my other love letters. Because it basically is a love letter. It's just before I figured out... Because I have the how X destroyed everything for the bad stuff, and then the love letters for the good stuff. So I might... That doesn't mean I'd re-edit it or anything, because I wouldn't want to touch the original video. Even though there are things I do differently, I don't want to... I want to leave the video as is. I just mean I'd like maybe change the thumbnail and the title to fit more, even though it wouldn't line up with what's in the video, just to have more consistency across the channel. But as far as other video games, I kind of... One of the projects I still really want to make, hopefully sometime soon, is not necessarily a love letter to Halo Infinite, but a video basically saying, like, this campaign's a lot better than you think, because... While it was very warmly received on launch, people have kind of cooled off on the campaign, and there's a lot of videos online going into why they're either disappointed by it or why they hate it. So I kind of want to make a video saying like, hey, I think you guys might have missed some of what makes this game so cool, because I love Infinite's campaign, and I will defend it readily. So I guess that kind of counts. As far as other video games, maybe, I mean... I'd like to make videos in some of the other Halo. The thing is, it's just like, I think my Halo Infinite video will be a good test for how much interest there is in my audience for that kind of content. Because obviously I'm primarily known for making videos on Pixar stuff or other animated content. Video games are not really, I don't really make, I've done Let's Plays, but as far as what people are interested in seeing from me, and where I think my strengths lie, it comes in the form of movies and TV, so I don't, you know, it just, we'll see how it goes. If people really like the Infinite video, then maybe I'll consider making more, but if not, then I'll be like, alright, it was a good experiment, I'm happy I made it, and I guess I'll move on to something else. We shall see how that plays out. Just because something made a lot of money doesn't mean it's good, and also, people hate Last Jedi for making a lot of money. Yeah, I am not going to comment on The Last Jedi or Star Wars, because I don't want to get sucked down that rabbit hole. I feel like, as far as controversy is concerned, I equate The Last Jedi to Toy Story 4. Like, if anyone in chat loves Last Jedi, it's not me saying it's Last Jedi's bad. I just purely mean in terms of the level of polarizing... The impact it had on the fan base, I think, is equivalent, because both of those movies took really bold, sweeping moves with the characters in ways that may not necessarily line up with what came before. But I'm not enough of a Star Wars fan to really care that much to get into the weeds of Last Jedi discourse. Rise of Skywalker I'll shit on all day, because that movie fucking sucks. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. But Last Jedi, I'm good. I'm not enough of a Star Wars fan to want to get bogged down by all that. You can have all the Last Jedi debates you want. I'll be over here. I'm chilling. Thoughts on every Shrek movie and the Puss in Boots movies? 1 is great, 2 is amazing, 3 is shit, 4 is highly underrated. I might even call it great. Puss in Boots 1 is not good. Mediocre at best. And The Last Wish, I think, is the best of all the Shrek franchise that DreamWorks has made. Will I play Sonic Racing Cross Worlds? I did play the network test, and it took me a little bit to get used to the drifting, but I did like Cross Worlds a lot. The thing is, I just can't justify spending $70. I really thought, because I was interested in Cross Worlds from the beginning, as soon as I found that it was coming out. The thing with Cross Worlds is it's just, I can't justify spending $70 on it. I thought it should have been the easiest slam dunk possible for Sega, because Mario Kart World came out and was $80 unless you bought the Switch 2 bundle like I did, in which case it only cost $50. So I thought that they would make it cost $40 or $50, or if we're lucky, maybe even $30, to really set itself apart from Mario Kart World, and hopefully buy some good faith on the price alone. But no, they made it cost $70 at minimum, and then even more if you buy the deluxe bundles, which that alone turned me off from buying it, which is unfortunate, because I really did have. I'll just wait for a sale. I'll wait for it to go on sale, and then I'll get it. It's unfortunate, because if it had cost if it had been more reasonably priced, I would have bought it, no questions asked. It's unfortunate. I really liked the gimmick where each level, lap 2 would be a unique course, and whoever was in first place could choose what course you went to. So no matter how many times you've played a course, it'll be a different experience each time. That was pretty cool. Have I played on a Yoshi game? No, but I would like to someday. I mean, I have the amiibo of Yarn Yoshi from Woolly World. Oh, I guess I can't sell the Wii U yet, because I still have to play Woolly World. Damn it. Alright, well, after I beat that game, I guess.
Wah! You made it! But I won't even need my dad's help to take care of you. Go at him, Mega Leg. Stomp him with the power of your Grand Star.
Am I going to play Mario 64 for the live stream? Yes! I have plans to revisit a lot of the games I said were the worst things ever in my worst games video, just to kind of reapproach them with a much fairer mindset. I've done that with a couple games already, and the conclusion is basically like the actual points of criticism I made I would still stand by. It's just it doesn't logically lead to it being one of the worst games ever made. Just something I'm very personally disappointed with. I probably should have just titled the video like games I think are overrated / games I am really disappointed in, and not like the worst games of all time, because that's not really accurate to how I feel about most of those. I'm interested in seeing how I would feel about Mario Mario 64 upon a replay. Damn it, I thought I could get him over the fence. Come on, pal. Security breach stream when? Okay. Well, let me clarify, I'm not planning on doing it for all of them, because I don't need to replay Security Breach to tell you that is actually one of the worst things that's ever been crapped out by any development studio. Which is a shame, because it had a lot of potential, but it's just, I'm never getting over the fact that the reason why that game's story ended up being such a disaster is because Scott Cawthon had an idea for a story, had a very specific idea for a story, and then he didn't tell Steel Wool what said story was. He just, he told them, I want these specific things to happen, and didn't give them any context for why they were supposed to happen. And his logic was, well, if they put these things into the game, people will figure it out for themselves when the game comes out. Instead, Steel Wool was like, what the fuck do we do with this? So they made up their own story based on the fragmented, contextless clues that Scott gave them. And as a result, we have the mangled nightmare that is Security Breach's story. I can't believe that's how that... Oh, Security Breach. Like, I do not want it overstated how bad Security Breach is. It single-handedly killed my passion for the franchise. Like, of course, there was a long wait between Help Wanted and Security Breach. It was like 2.5 years between releases. But even up until that point, I was still invested in the series. I was reading all the Fazbear Frights books as they were coming out. I cared a lot. And then I played Security Breach and just gone. Instantly gone. Holy shit, what a disappointing experience that was.
That ball of flame represents the power of the observatory. We call it the beacon. When you recover a grand star, a little star power will be restored, and the beacon will grow. The Comet Observatory can use that power to fly through the universe. Once all of the power is restored, we will even be able to fly to the center of the universe. Oh, the power is on in a new dome. The newly opened dome is called the Fountain. It's really quite relaxing. By the way, if you looked at the map, it contains information about galaxies as well as domes. If you forget the location of a dome, don't hesitate to speak with me.
What do I think is worse, Security Breach or Last of Us Part 2? Security Breach is worse. Last of Us Part 2's story is more insulting, but it's a more competently made video game. Whereas, like, Security Breach just doesn't function. Or at least it didn't function at launch, but even like, post all the updates and patches that they added to the game after the fact, I still, even if you just strip away all of the technical issues, I still don't think the game's mechanics fundamentally are very sound. I have a lot of issues with that game mechanically in terms of what it offers as a baseline video game experience. I don't want to get too pessimistic and negative today. I want to chill, play Galaxy, but just the short version is Security Breach bad. The production was a nightmare, but optimistic silver lining. I think it served as a kind of Scott Cawthon had FNAF World as far as his, like, eye-opening moment of, oh, I can't just make whatever. I can't just crap out FNAF games and people will love them no matter what. People do have a standard of quality that I need to uphold, and that's why he took so much, like, he took a year. No, I mean, it didn't take him a year to make this location, obviously, but he spent more time polishing it and refining it to make sure he wouldn't have another FNAF World situation on his hands. And then Pizzeria Simulator might be my favorite. Of Scott's original games, I think Pizzeria Simulator might be my favorite, honestly. It's tough. It's tough to say, but I think that might be it. And then Steel Wool had their situation with Security Breach where it didn't have the time it needed. There wasn't a clear vision, clearly, because they had two conflicting visions where things got lost in translation. And I think because of that, they now are like, we can never let this happen again. So Help Wanted 2, they really took their time with, and I love Help Wanted 2. And I hope that same standard of quality was applied to Secret of the Mimic. I don't know for sure. I haven't played it. I know it's been out since June, but I'm waiting for VR mode, so I don't know how good that game is yet, but I certainly hope it's good. How relieved will I be if Toy Story 5 ends up being good? I'll be able to breathe again. I think I'm gonna be locked with tension going into that movie because of how it's gonna be a weird emotional experience being so simultaneously like I know for as much shit as I talked in the D23 video and as much shit as I'm sure I'm going to continue to talk as we get closer and closer to release and we get more trailers and more news and all that stuff. I know, just because I know me, that the inner kid is going to rise to the surface as soon as I'm sitting in that theater. I'm going to be so, it's going to feel like I'm back in 2010 seeing Toy Story 3 in theaters for the first time. But then on top of that, the modern adult brain is going to be like, is this Toy Story 5? Is a fucking talking toilet roll? This is a lily pad? This is an army of buzzes? What the fuck? And it's just going to be a weird day for me. I don't know. It's, we'll see how it goes. I'm trying not to stress about it too much, because ultimately I can't control it. I can't change it. We'll just deal with it when it gets here. What do I prefer? Hazbin Hotel or Digital Circus? That's a tough question, actually. I mean, I'd say Digital Circus is the better made show. It's what I prefer. I think I prefer Hazbin right now. If Digital Circus does lean more into the horror stuff that I'm hoping... That I know it can, and I'm hoping it will, then it might overtake Hazbin. But, like, as someone who grew up in musical theater and doing a lot of stage plays, the level of quality that Hazbin Hotel has with its musical numbers is... It's out of this world. I am so blown away by all the music and the... Not even just the music itself, but the Broadway-esque performances and that come out of that are visually presented on screen for each of them are just amazing. But yeah, it's tough. It's a tough question. Favorite Galaxy in Mario Galaxy 1? I mentioned earlier, it's either Toy Time or Beach Bowl. Beach Bowl, obviously, you have the tropical aesthetic that I'm quite fond of in games. And then Toy Time is a very youthful, vibrant, exuberant... Oh, God. It has a sense of childlike wonder in exploring a toy-themed galaxy, which I'm sure it wouldn't surprise you at all that that is appealing to... Oh, my God. Is appealing to me. Star Command. Star Command. Star Command. That. Oh, what a stupid. It's funny. It's funny. I can't say it's not funny. It's funny. It is a very funny. Oh my god. Favorite character in the Sonic movies is Shadow. Yeah, and it's not just because of Keanu Reeves' performance. You really like Secret of the Mimic? It's really replayable. Yeah, I don't know what people generally think of the game. I don't know what the general public perception is. I assume it's not like overwhelmingly negative, because I think if it was, I probably would have heard by now. Because like even if you weren't a FNAF fan, you couldn't escape the hate Security Breach was receiving back in 2021. Because that was one of the worst launches in video game history, I'd say. Like, on par with the Master Chief Collection as far as this game just fundamentally does not work. And I haven't heard anything like that for Secret of the Mimic. But regardless of whether people like it or not, I think it's going to be... The one thing that everyone consistently tells me is that they are interested in seeing me play it. Which could mean anything. It could mean they like it. It could mean it's like a Toy Story 4 situation of wanting to see me rip into it. I don't know, but you know, I'm a FNAF fan. I'm not a part of. I think it's important to make the distinction that I am a FNAF fan, but I am not a part of the FNAF fandom, because I don't. A lot of fandoms these days I just find to get very toxic very quickly, and I just don't. I mean, even stuff I love, the Halo fandom, don't even bother trying to deal with that shit. That's one of the worst. Well, I guess everyone thinks their fandom is the worst because they are most consistently exposed to discussions and discourse within the franchise they love. So everyone thinks that their fandom is the worst, when in reality they're all kind of the same level of awful, generally speaking. So, you know, I'm a FNAF fan, and I'm looking forward to playing it. If they ever make VR mode, which I would hope at some point. Thoughts on Hollow Knight Silksong? I haven't played it, but from my friends who have, they say that it was worth the wait. They aren't disappointed with the experience overall. They are just disappointed with certain elements of it, mainly the enormous difficulty spike, which is not necessarily always for completely fair reasons. But I myself haven't played it. I can't speak to how good the game is or not. I just know a lot of people have been getting very upset with the game's balancing in some areas. Favorite DreamWorks film? My favorite is probably always going to be Over the Hedge, but as far as what the best is, it's probably either Last Wish, Shrek 2, How to Train Your Dragon, or one of the first two Kung Fu Panda movies. That might be something I do one day, is ranking all the DreamWorks movies. I guess we'll see how well the Pixar ranking does. Because there's a lot more DreamWorks movies than Pixar movies. So that would be a much more significant undertaking if I were to make a video like that. Did I revisit Batman and Robin? No, but maybe I will. Well, okay. I was going to say that I could make a good commentary, but the problem is it's Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers is the worst company with copyright. And they're so bad, in fact, that I told the others, like, no matter how much we want to do a Warner Brothers movie, it's not worth it. It just is not worth the amount of pain that we'd have to go through getting it through copyright. It's just not worth the hassle. So unfortunately, I guess we couldn't do a commentary for that. But I would like to revisit it someday, because from what I remember, it's a pretty goofy movie. Thoughts on the Kung Fu Panda movies? Okay, the first two are amazing, interchangeably amazing. Like I have a really hard time deciding whether 1 or 2 is the best, because they're both just so good. 3, I'm willing to go to bat for 3. I know 3 is a bit controversial, but I think it just feels worse than it is because it has to live up to the first 2, which are both some of the best animated movies of all time. But 3 is fine. It's enjoyable. It's solid. It's just not as good as the first 2. And the important thing with 3 is that it ends well. The ending of 3 is perfect. And it's where the franchise should have stopped, because 4 is dreadful. I hate 4. I was so upset with 4 when I saw it last year. No Minecraft movie commentary, I guess. Aw, darn. Aw, shucks. Oh no. What a shame. We can't watch the Minecraft movie for a commentary? Oh no. Whatever will we do with our... Yeah, it is very nice that I can kind of... Because people were asking us to do ones, like, hey, what if you did a movie on a commentary on Minecraft? And I'm like, what if I killed myself instead? Because I don't want to watch that. I'd rather have a battery injected into my throat than I would watch the Minecraft movie. But now I can just be like, sorry guys, can't do it. Copyright's just too shit. Sorry, can't do it. Which, I mean, that's not an excuse, because I have no problem telling people, like, I know you want to see us do this, and I understand why, but I don't want to. We have standards, okay? We'll watch Blue's Big City Adventure, but we won't watch a Minecraft movie. We have standards, alright? But it makes the conversation easier when I can just be like, the copyright is just gonna be a bitch, and I don't really feel like dealing with it. You read my letterbox, you're glad I really love Weapons. I loved Weapons so much. It's funny. I got a comment on the D23 video, because one of the examples I used of movies or just media I've experienced lately that have lifted me up and made me really happy was Weapons. And I got a comment like, how is Weapons supposed to put a smile on our faces? Because it is such a dark movie. It's a really intense thriller horror movie, and it's really, really scary a lot of the time. But, you know, it's also a phenomenal horror movie, and I walked out of that movie with a smile on my face because of how good it was, because it made me realize, yeah, horror's not dead. As much as a lot of other genres are struggling for either creative issues or financial issues, horror continues to thrive, because horror movies can be made on really cheap budgets, and which means they have a really high profit margin. They can make a lot of money back. So studios are incentivized to support smaller, independent, more experimental filmmakers and ideas. And that's how you get movies like Sinners. Well, okay, Ryan Coogler isn't exactly a small filmmaker because, you know, he directed Black Panther. But you know what I mean? Like, ideas for stories that are a little outside the box, a little more original. They have the grounds to support those kinds of movies because they know that they have the room for error. It's not like you're not spending hundreds of millions of dollars on a single movie, like Dial of Destiny or something. Should you watch Sinners? Absolutely. That was another one of the movies I used as a reference of really good stuff in the end of the D23 video. Sinners, it's tough for me to decide whether Sinners or Weapons is better, because they're both really good, but they're also both really different. But I recommend them both vehemently. You should absolutely watch Sinners. I'd even recommend it to people who don't traditionally like horror movies, because the first half, it takes a while for the horror stuff to really begin, because it spends like the first hour or so just getting you on board with the characters in this world, in this town, so that when things start going wrong, you really care. Because that's one of the pitfalls that a lot of horror movies fall into, I feel, is that you don't really care. Like, you're there for the scares, and you're there for all the horror aspects, but it's with a group of characters that you don't really know that well, because you don't have time to know them. But Sinners doesn't have that problem. Sinners, you get to know those characters so well, so it really, really moves you by the end. That's another one of those movies that I'll remember for the rest of my life, watching that in theaters for the first time. Who's my main in Mario Kart? Me. I just play as my me. I don't really play as any of the characters. I always just play as myself. Usually in the Toad amiibo costume. Because I like Toad a lot. I have a very personal attachment to Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. So I guess beyond the me, I guess Toad would be an option there for possibly a main. But I don't really have a proper main. Do I like Yoshi as a character? Absolutely. Yoshi! Big fan of Yoshi. And his inclusion in Galaxy 2 is great. Thoughts on the Fantastic Four first step? Haven't seen it. I'm not really that interested in Marvel anymore. I did see Thunderbolts this year because it has a lot of characters I like. But it didn't really use any of them in any meaningful way. It was mainly a story about Yelena. And unfortunately it means that all the other characters on the Thunderbolts didn't really get that much to do. Especially, Bucky was especially shafted. And I don't even know, they got Wendell Pierce in to play a character, and Wendell Pierce is a great actor. I love that guy. And they barely gave him anything to do. It's like, bro, why are you even here? Like, honestly, why are you even here? If you're not gonna use him. I don't know. I don't really I'll always be passionate about the original Infinity Saga, but all the stuff they've done with the Multiverse Saga is just not up my alley, unfortunately. That was something I kind of... Because I thought I was just kind of checked out of Marvel in general for a while, but then when I was making the D23 video and I was pulling clips from older Marvel movies, I kind of had to stop myself from watching full scenes. Because as I was pulling clips, it was like, man, these movies are pretty good. I think I might actually like these original Marvel movies, which I always did. It's just the Multiverse Saga killed my passion. But I've been thinking about rewatching the original Marvel movies from Phase 1 through 3, Iron Man through to Far From Home. Just to see if I still like them as much as I used to. Also, what I've watched of Murder Drones, it hasn't really grabbed me yet, honestly. I know a lot of people love Murder Drones, but it just hasn't, I find it kind of uninteresting. I don't really like any of the characters. And I find the aesthetic of the world to be boring. Kind of has, which I guess it's tonally appropriate to have this kind of dull gray color tone washed over everything, but I just don't find that very appealing. But I respect and appreciate that Murder Drones is very popular. So I guess there's just something about it that I'm not really clicking with, that other people seem to really get out of it. Digital Circus is more my jam. And I don't know what I feel about Meta Runner yet because I haven't watched it. But I will at some point. It's on the list. It is on the list of shows for me to eventually watch. You found Paddington 3 mediocre. Yeah, I liked Paddington 3. In fact, I was actually pretty emotionally moved by the last scene in it. But overall, it's pretty decisively the weakest of the trilogy. But I'd still say it's solid overall. I'm not rushing to rewatch. Like, I might rewatch Paddington 1 and 2 at some point. But Paddington 3, I don't think I'll ever watch again. Unless it's on or someone else is watching it. It's not something that I feel compelled to run out and go back to the theaters to see or to buy on Blu-ray or anything. How would I rank the Ace Attorney protagonists? I think off the top of my head, I would go Edgeworth, Phoenix, Ryunosuke, Apollo, Athena, which might sound weird for me to put Apollo above Athena, but the problem is Athena just doesn't... Athena doesn't really get much, right? Because Spirit of Justice shafts her, and you don't play as her as much in Dual Destinies either. The way Athena is treated in Spirit of Justice, her and Maya both get the shortest end of the stick possible. Have I seen the Gaslight District? Oh, right, I forgot about that one. I have not seen the Gaslight District pilot, if I can speak today. I have not seen it, but I have heard it's pretty awesome, so I might check it out. Has that show been greenlit yet? Or is it still in limbo? Because I know, obviously, Knights of Guinevere had its pilot recently, and it's still, we probably won't know for a few months if it gets greenlit or not. Is Gaslight District good to go? Didn't I hate Apollo and Apollo Justice? Well, that's what I mean. That's why I say it might sound strange for me to put Apollo, so I'll put him above Athena. But the thing is, what he gets in Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice is pretty great, and Athena doesn't really... Like, as a character, she gets interesting stuff in Dual Destinies, but as far as your time spent playing as Athena, Spirit of Justice really offsets her a lot. Because not only does the main game give her fucking nothing, but the DLC case especially gives her nothing. It's been greenlit? Okay. Cool. So then I will definitely check it out at some point. What do I think is better, Donkey Kong Country Returns or Bonanza? Bonanza, definitely. The harder question would be to ask between what's better, Odyssey or Bonanza, or asking the question, what's better, well, no, I guess I was gonna say, whether Country Returns or Tropical Freeze is better, but Tropical Freeze is obviously better than Returns. The harder question is just Bonanza versus Odyssey, and it's hard. I mean, I still prefer Odyssey, but as far as what the better game is, I don't know. They're both, it's really, because they share a lot of design principles. It's really tough trying to pick what's better between the two of them. What do I think about BF Woody? I'm afraid I don't understand what that means. You like Paddington 3 for the most part? It's very messy in terms of writing. Yeah, it's messy. That is the main takeaway. Is that it doesn't feel as cohesive as the first two films. But it does have good moments. Oh, Black Friday Woody. Okay. I think it would have been a mistake. I think it would... Okay, let's see if I can get the timing. Sure can't. I've never been good at getting the timing for the head start here. I think it would have been a mistake if they had gone with the Black Friday reel. Because what I appreciate, and I'll go into this a little bit more detail when I make my Toy Story 1 love letter. What I appreciate about Woody in the finished film is that he is not your typical Disney hero, which sounds kind of generic and vapid as a statement. Like, he's not your average hero. But what I mean, like, a lot of Disney protagonists kind of fit a mold of very squeaky clean, virtuous people who, like Aladdin has flaws, obviously, in terms of his, you know, lack of self-worth and how that manifests in him lying about who he is to Jasmine in the form of Prince Ali. But he's still very good-natured at his core. And a lot of Disney characters are like that. Woody is not like that. Woody, his flaws are very much that he is mean-spirited a lot of the time. And that's something I appreciate, is that, because, you know, not everyone is, especially kids. Kids can be mean. Kids can be cruel. Kids have a lot of, like, those types of flaws that they need to work out. And I appreciate that they are not afraid to show that side of Woody in the first Toy Story movie. However, there is another side to that where you go too far with that idea and you make your character utterly repulsive to where you just find it impossible to root for him. You're not like, I wish you made better choices, but I understand why you're doing this, and I hope you grow and improve by the end. You're just like, nah, fuck this guy. Like, when I watch the Black Friday reel, I'm rooting for the other toys to throw him out the window, which should not be the case. You shouldn't, that's... So, I guess my point is, I think the final movie strikes a good balance between maintaining that sort of edgier side to him, but also not going so far with the concept that you end up actively rooting against Woody. because you should never be rooting against your protagonist. That you can say, I wish you made better choices, and I wish you wouldn't, because obviously you wish that Woody wouldn't. Maybe he would just talk to Buzz and say like, hey, can you hide somewhere to allow me to have this alone time with Andy at Pizza Planet? And he might have even understood if you tried to empathize with him on that level. You wish, because there's always a positive choice and a negative choice that your character can make, and usually they make the negative choice, and then that's the flaw that they need to overcome. But there's a difference between that and being like, oh no, I just don't like you. Just straight up. Like, you're not someone who I want to make better choices because I just don't care what happens to you. You actually are just terrible. And I think that's the mistake that the Black Friday reel felt. That's the pit that they fell into. You love messy protagonists. Yeah, messy protagonists. That's the thing with one of the things I like about the Owl House is that Lu's, like, right at the start of the series, she's not exactly a squeaky clean kid. Like, she is very bubbly and optimistic, and at first glance, she seems like she fits the stereotype of the very quirky teen Disney protagonist. But when you look under the surface and as the show goes on, you realize, like, oh, she acted out in a lot of really unproductive, reckless, unhealthy ways. And she has a lot bubbling under the surface that just manifests in these actions. And that's the stuff I love. I love character, like, when writers aren't afraid to explore the messy side of characters and not just have them be virtuous all the time. Even though Battle for Bikini Bottom is objectively better, you might have a slight preference over the Cosmic Shake. The Cosmic Shake it's a respectable follow-up. It starts out kind of weak, but the deeper into the game you get, the better it becomes. I was especially fond of, like, the end game levels. I really liked the game more the deeper into it I got. I think it is a respectable spiritual successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom, but yeah, I don't quite think it eclipses the strengths of BFBB. Because BFBB is just so tight as a game. Oscar and Shark Tales, how not to do protagonists. Oh yeah, he's another good example of the opposite end of the spectrum. Just like, I don't like you and I don't care what happens to you. Watching the original Toy Story in theaters was amazing. Yeah, same. I was afraid I wasn't going to get to do it because I caught COVID, like, right before the film came back to theaters. And I was afraid that I wasn't, because even though the actual symptoms didn't last too long. I think it was about a week that I properly felt sick, but I still wasn't going to leave the house until I tested negative because I wasn't going to put anyone else at risk. And it took a while for COVID to fully leave my system and so I could test negative. So I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to see it in theaters for the re-release, but thankfully I did. I did test negative. Although I will say, what I was kind of disappointed by is that they didn't have any kind of a special anything attached to it, right? Like, I was expecting, it didn't necessarily have to be a Toy Story 5 trailer or anything like what they did for the 3D re-release back with Toy Story 1 and 2 in 2009. But I was expecting some kind of, especially because it's the 30th anniversary, I was expecting something, but they didn't really have anything. They had that sizzle reel at the beginning, but the thing with that is that it's just the same sizzle reel that they uploaded to their YouTube channel, like celebrating 30 years and beyond. So that's kind of disappointing that they didn't have anything more unique to attach to the re-release. When Black Friday Woody yelled at Slinky, that's what got me. Yeah, that is like... Because even though he's obviously a dick to Buzz in the finished movie, you kind of get it because he's so he's so... Not closed-minded, but he's just... I think Tim Allen described him as a closed head injury kind of guy. Is like, he's so stubborn and firmly rooted in the idea that he has to be a Space Ranger. Which I guess is closed-minded. But the thing is, it's only closed-minded in that respect, because Buzz is... What I really like about Buzz's character is that he is so friendly and welcoming to everyone. Like, he's respectful when he arrives in Andy's room, he's respectful when he arrives in the Claw with the aliens, and he quickly ingratiates himself into the culture of wherever he currently is. He doesn't seem miserable that he is where he is. He's trying to make the best of being stranded and trying to get along with everyone, which obviously makes it stand out even more that he is so vitriolic with Woody. But that's ultimately what makes Toy Story work so well, is that you understand why Buzz is upset with Woody, because obviously from his perspective it seems like he's getting pissed at him for no reason. But from Woody's perspective, he knows the truth that Buzz is in fact just a toy, and he's just stubbornly refusing to listen to reason. And, you know, that sense of jealousy kind of overtakes all of us at some point. Whether it's friends or siblings or just people in general. We've all, I think all of us, it's a very human, universal experience to feel that jealousy, which allows you to feel that connection with Woody's character. It's a really... Toy Story, we talked about Oscar nominations earlier. Toy Story is one of those where it more than deserved its screenplay nomination at the Oscars. Whether it should have won, I can't say because I haven't seen all the movies in question, but it more than deserved at least the nomination. What about the Joker movie where the protagonist does negative things but you still want him to be okay? Well, that's an interesting thing just because it's a really an exploration of how the mental health system fails a lot of people, which I think is also because a lot of, I mean, not speaking from my own experience, but speaking from just a lot of stories I've read and a lot of what I know about at least how the mental health system is here in America. It's really, the solutions offered aren't necessarily always what the patients need. And so it's, people just aren't getting the help that they really need in times of extraordinary crisis. And I think a lot of people, obviously not to the same extent as Joker. I'm not trying to say like, oh, well, they've had bad experiences with therapy, therefore it's fine to do all these terrible things. Obviously not the point I'm making. My point is, a lot of people I think have had negative experiences with trying to find help or trying to have their mental health be taken seriously by people and just not finding success in that. So they can connect to that character on that level while also understanding at the same time that, yeah, what you're doing is shit. Kind of in the same way that you can understand that Woody is... You can understand why he's doing what he's doing, but you're still like, cool, but you still can't do these things. You can't try to knock Buzz behind the shelf. And you should be interested in trying to save Buzz because you want to save his life, not because you can't show your face in the room without him being with you. Like, just to save your own skin kind of thing. Buzz's arc is the best part of the first movie. I'd say the best part of the first movie is the fact that Woody and Buzz's arcs tie so cleanly together. In the scene where Woody is finally honest with Buzz, and he breaks down and he's finally, like, willing to admit what was bothering him so much about Buzz, that he was so jealous. Because at that point, he'd kind of forgotten that he'd forgotten the platitudes he spoke with at the beginning about how it doesn't matter how much we're played with, it matters that we're here for Andy when he needs them. But by that point, he rediscovers, like, he remembers why he was doing this in the first place. But the other side of that is, by focusing in on what does Andy need, he thinks Buzz is so cool that he doesn't need me anymore. Which is depressing as shit. But that's what brings them down to that same level, is Buzz is having borderline suicidal thoughts, feeling like, I can't help anyone, there's no point in even... Like, he's willing to let himself be tortured and blown up by Sid because he just doesn't even see a point to living anymore if he's not going to be a space ranger. So he's brought down to that point, and then Woody is also brought down to that point by saying, well, if Andy doesn't need me and he needs Buzz, then just strap me to the rocket for all I care. Just doesn't even matter. And that moment of connection that the two characters share is what links their arcs together. So even though they're so different, that they are able to find that reconciliation together. I think that is the ultimate strength of Toy Story as a script. That each arc is so good on its own, and then when you bring them together, it's just perfection. Am I going to see one battle after another? I wasn't going to originally, but everyone keeps telling me how good it is, and now I'm kind of thinking maybe I should. When it's getting such unanimously high praise. Oh, look, Sling Pod stream is going to get restricted now. I think it's fine as long as it's not in the thumbnail. I think because I had a similar problem when I did a Let's Play of a game called 999 on the channel, and in the thumbnail, I chose a thumbnail of two characters, and one of them had their cleavage very visibly exposed, and that got flagged by YouTube, and that's understandable. I'm like, okay, I understand why you don't want that being the thumbnail. I'll change it. No big deal. We're fine. Because it's not like a mark against your channel. It's just like, please don't do this. Please change your thumbnail. And I'm like, okay, I'll change my thumbnail. And that makes sense. So I think they're just trying to prevent people from, like, baiting you into watching videos. Or, like, if in the thumbnail it seems suggestive, it might therefore indicate that the video itself is also suggestive. Or that you're trying to use provocative imagery to bait people into watching something that has nothing to do with it. I think they're far more concerned with thumbnails in that respect. So as long as I don't put a Sling Pod. And for all, by the way, I will say, this is 5 years ago. They could have changed this. This might not be the case anymore. They might have updated how their systems worked. I haven't had a problem with this since this whole thing happened back in 2020. So, you know, I don't want to make any definitive statements that that's still how it works. That was just my experience with the system back in 2020. Who's the better villain, Lotso from Toy Story 3 or Bellows from the Owl House? Oh. They're very similar in a lot of ways, is the thing. I'd probably have to go with Bellows just because he's in a TV show, so we have more time to get to know him as a villain than in Toy Story 3. But then the other side of the argument is you only have 90 minutes with Lotso. Not even that, because he's not on screen for all 90 minutes. And you still get to know him so well, and he's so intimidating and threatening. I don't know. But also, I also really, really like... This is one thing I wish I brought up more in my Toy Story 3 series. I love Ned Betty's performance as Lotso. He can so convincingly sell the elderly southern charm to his accent as much as he can sell the I'm a monster and I'm going to torture all of you until the day you die. And he does them both so well, because that's a broad range of talent to have for a single character in the same movie, while still having it all sound like coming from the same person, the same character. It's unbelievable. I think that, honestly, Ned Betty as Lotso, I think, is top 3 Pixar performances of all time, bar none. I don't know what the other two would be. Maybe Ellen DeGeneres' Dory in Finding Nemo, because she just has this total innocence to her that's kind of adorable. I don't know what are some of you guys' favorite, like, all-time, if you had to pick all-time favorite Pixar performances. I'm trying to think of what else I would think of. Joan Cusack as Jessie might be another one. She's really, really good. Like, really, really good. The amount of just raw passion and energy that she pours into that voice is unbelievable. Where's your kid now, Sheriff? Oh, I love that line. Oh, it's such a good line. Oh, it's so good. Oh, the chills you get when you hear him say that. Lotso's so good. Amy Poehler as Joy. Ooh, that's another good one. Amy Poehler as Joy is another really great one. Owen Wilson as McQueen. Tom Hanks as Woody. Yeah, of course. Of course, Tom Hanks as Woody. He's just unhinged. It's specifically Tom Hanks as Woody in the first movie. He's just unhinged in the best possible way. Oh, I feel bad for Tom Hanks while he was recording that, though. Just constantly screaming all the time. Like, the point where he said, I think all my character does in this movie is just scream at shit. Which, I can't blame him. I cannot blame him at all for thinking that. Can I get these bullet bills through here first try? Survey says, yes. Rest in peace, Ned Betty. Yes, rest in peace. Ah, shit. Rest in peace indeed. He gave everything he had to Toy Story 3. And we are eternally grateful for the performance he's given us as Lotso. Larry the Cable Guy as Mater. Oh, yeah, that's another great one, too. He's so good as Mater. Favorite Pixar villain? It's gotta be Lotso. I mean, Syndrome is amazing. Syndrome is top tier as well. But favorite, it's gotta be Lotso. It's gotta be Lotso. Lilo and Stitch 2025 commentary when look, man, I don't want to. Once was enough. I don't want to watch that piece of shit movie again. Please. Once was more than enough. That's kind of why I originally, I'm glad that I didn't end up waiting until the remake came out to do the commentary on the first movie, because I can just enjoy the first movie and not have it be attached to the remake. I mean, maybe one day we'll be like, you know what we should do? Because we have literally nothing better to do with our lives. Let's watch the Lilo and Stitch remake. Because I honestly think in some ways it is the most... As far, like, Mulan 2020 is the most offensive in terms of how it was made, right? Because obviously they thanked the concentration camp in the credits of the movie. There's no coming back from that. That's the most offensive thing to come out of these remakes. As far as an art form, I think Lion King 2019 is the most offensive as an art form, because it is just soulless from top to bottom. All the personality, life, and color was surgically stripped out of the original movie. But as far as how it handles the characters, Lilo and Stitch might be the most offensive in that respect. Because I think it might be the most egregious misunderstanding of the original movie's themes. Like, when you get stuff like Aladdin, it understands the themes of the original, and it tries to do its thing with it. It just botches the execution. Whereas Lilo and Stitch, fundamentally, is just like, Ohana means fuck you, basically. I hate that movie. When's the Pinocchio Sextuple feature happening? When I'm dead. Plus 3 days. Just to make sure I'm dead. So funny you say Galaxy's garbage minigame or Odyssey's 100 volleyball. Well, I don't hate the volleyball as much as most people do. Whereas I despise the garbage dump. I think it is the worst thing in this game. Is this awful, awful garbage. I mean, this one isn't so bad. This one isn't... It's the Dreadnought one that really just makes me want to pull my hair out. This one isn't too bad, but... Ugh, it's still... It's just... blow up all the trash. That's it. That's the whole thing. Why? Why is this the minigame? I don't get it. It's so lame. What a valuable use of my time. And I'll throw some extra bombs in here in case that actually might not be close enough. Sometimes, a trick I learned a couple playthroughs ago is if your first bomb might be too far away from the garbage you need to blow up, and you don't have enough time to, but you think you don't have enough time to throw another one, like the fuse of the bomb's timer is longer than the amount of time is left in the minigame, you should still throw the bomb anyway, because the first bomb blowing up will cause a chain reaction with any nearby bombs, so you can use that to clean up any garbage that you might have missed. It's still just such a lame minigame. Hawaii most likely has better marine biology than California. No, not most likely. It does. Like, it's proven that Hawaii has one of the... I think it has the best marine biology program in the country, and it has one of, if not the best, marine biology programs in the world, which makes it especially stupid that the conclusion for Nani is, well, my dream is to study marine biology, so I'm gonna go to California and leave my sister behind. Like, it doesn't even make sense. The whole idea is like, well, I want to pursue my dreams and the best way possible, but also I want to take care of my family. What should I do? How about both? Because you can already do... Why would you... It's just so... I don't want to say it's like just a pro-American message, like America kind of thing, but like... Why... How delusional do you have to be to frame it as if Hawaii doesn't have the best marine biology program, especially compared to California. I don't get it. I don't, because they're like, I'm pretty sure they even say in the movie, like, California has the best marine biology program, and that's why she wants to go to California, when it's like, you live in Hawaii, motherfucker. What are you actually talking about? It's so bad. It's so bad. Because I saw some people being like, well, the remake is more realistic than the original version, because, you know, life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. You can't always stay with your family together. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Life isn't all sunshine and rainbows. That's why they completely rewrote the story to make it so that Nani can get everything she ever wanted in her entire life and never has to make any personal sacrifices for the sake of her family, which is actually realistic. The actual realistic thing is that you would have to make sacrifices for the people you love, and that you can't always get what you want most. Sometimes you have to make those choices. Sometimes you have to make those sacrifices. And Nani is a character who would make those sacrifices. But Nani's just such a bitch in the remake. Like, honestly, that sounds mean. But you know what? Watch the remake. I mean, don't watch the remake because it's terrible. But if you watch the remake, I defy you to tell me anything else. Nani in the remake is so antithetical to who she was in the original, it legitimately pisses me off. Like, she wasn't in the original, right? She's the one who takes Lilo to the dog shelter to kind of try to cheer her up after the fight. Not in the remake. It's their neighbor or something that takes her to the dog shelter. Not Nani. Nani's pissed that they come back with. I'm like, what the fuck? You know, it's fine. The original will always be there. The original is great. You should all go watch it, and never watch the remake. And neither will we. I watched it once. That was 3 times too many. I'm not gonna make the Space Rangers watch that as well. The only way we watch the remake is if FG's like, I need to make you guys suffer. We're watching the remake, and even then, I'm like, do we? What if we don't though? What if we just don't? But also, I don't think that would ever happen because she hasn't seen it. Because like Lilo and Stitch is her big thing. That's one of the things she's most passionate about, and so as you can imagine. She hasn't seen the remake, but she knows what happens in it, and it's way more offensive to her than it is to me. Just because of how much she loves Lilo. I hadn't seen the movie. It had been less than a year since I had seen the original Lilo and Stitch movie when I saw the remake, and I was still just furious. So I can't even imagine what it would be like for someone whose favorite thing ever is Lilo and Stitch, like her. I'm blah, blah, blah. Have I seen the How to Train Your Dragon remake? No, and I never will. No. The only reason I saw the Lilo and Stitch remake was because, and I can talk about this publicly now because at the time I had to be cryptic because I was trying to preserve some surprises for the Toy Story 3 video. But now that it's out, I can just be like, I was at the theater where I filmed all the live action stuff. I had gone there a couple months ago with Brooks and FG to film, like, the vast majority of what I needed, but there were still a couple shots I needed to pick up that we couldn't get that day because the area of the theater we needed to get into was closed. So I went back there by myself just to pick up a couple shots really quickly, but when I went there, it wasn't open yet. Like, the part of the theater I needed to get to wasn't open yet, I mean. So I needed something to occupy my time while I waited, and based on the available... Because I was at a movie theater, so I was thinking, you know, why don't I just go see a movie? But the only movie that made sense for me to see time-wise was the Lilo and Stitch remake. So my choices were basically sit there and do nothing for 2 hours or watch the Lilo and Stitch remake and see how bad it is for myself. I chose the latter. Probably should have chosen the former because it was just a miserable experience from beginning to end. Thoughts on the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy? I would need to rewatch them. I mean, the first movie I watched pretty recently. I rewatched that one about a year ago, and I think it's in the running for DreamWorks best films of all time. The second and third ones I need to rewatch. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about them. If you asked me after I saw How to Train Your Dragon 2 for the first time in 2014, I probably would have told you it was better than the original. Now I'm not so sure. And How to Train Your Dragon 3, I'm really unsure how I would feel about. So, I don't know. If anyone's interested, Galaxy 2 on Switch is going to have a new storybook revolving around two twin Lumas. Yeah, that's one of the cool things that they're adding to Switch, or adding to Galaxy 2 on Switch. I'm glad it's not just a straight port. I mean, it still basically is, but they have quality of life features and they have a new storybook. I'm glad that there is a little bit more to it than just the game again. We love making you guys suffer. Yeah, well. We'll offer something of us suffering at some point in the near future. But we don't like to suffer. We like to watch good things. My thoughts on Toby Fox? I mean, I don't really follow him on anything, but he made Undertale. And Undertale's pretty cool. Other than that, I don't really have any strong feelings on Toby Fox. The worst Pixar live-action remake? You mean, like, what would be the worst one to remake in live-action? I mean, they'd all suck, but... God, I don't know. My mind immediately jumps to Cars, but then I'm trying to picture hyper-realistic... See, but here's the problem with doing Pixar's movies in live-action, is that it'd be even more pointless than doing the Disney ones, because... most of the characters in Pixar movies are not human. So they'd have to be overwhelmed. Like, if you did live-action Toy Story, 80% of it would just be CGI. It would just be hyper-realistic CGI. In other words, you'd be losing all the charm and soul that the original Toy Story has with its animation. Like, try to... When I think of live-action Finding Nemo, for instance, I just think of Flounder from the Little Mermaid remake, and I want to vomit immediately. Monsters, Inc. live action would probably look horrifying, too. The only one I think you could get away with is WALL-E. WALL-E's the only one I think you could convincingly do in live action. But even then, I don't think you could do it 100% with practical robots. I think you'd have to do a large amount of CGI with those. Just don't. How about, what if we just don't? What if we just don't? What if we simply do? Oh, actually, you know what? Soul might be another good one. Well, I say that, but then it's like... I'm mainly thinking of the Human World stuff, because then you have The Great Beyond, and... I don't know, I guess that could be a chance to be really surreal with the art style, if they were to do it in live action. But I still... just don't. Just simply don't. There's no point. You only serve to lose. I mean, of course they would gain money, but as far as public perception is concerned, I just don't, please. Maybe Coco? CGI skeletons, are we sure? Because, like, you could never convincingly recreate the land of, like, that initial reveal shot when Miguel goes to the land of the dead, and you see the city in the background that is floor to ceiling and just extends far into the background beyond what you can even see. You could never ever do that in live action. You'd have to use CGI, which at that point there'd be no point. Again, you're just doing because you're doing what Pixar already did. They made CGI movies. Celebrity auto-tune, remember me? Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. That's my auto-tune impression. We know you want live-action Ratatouille. No, I don't. I mean, I guess that is... See, the thing is, Avert, that would actually be one of the ones I would say is in the running for being most suitable, because so much of it is in the human world with humans. And it is one of Pixar's more grounded stories. But then you have the obvious caveat being, oh, also the main character is a rat. So, I'd just rather not, honestly. I'd rather we just... Pete Docter said that he doesn't believe that their movies would work in live action, which he's correct about, because they focus on stories that could really only be convincingly told in animation. I hope he stays true to that. I hope that we don't see live-action Toy Story in another 10 years. I might just die. Live-action Incredibles. Okay, Incredibles you could do. Incredibles is one where I think with no caveat. I mean, the thing is, you would still, of course, need CGI to do. Well, I guess you could theoretically do the Omnidroid battle at the end without CGI, but like Syndrome flying up to the jet at the end, and of course Jack, I think you have to do CGI. But I think that's the smallest. At that point, it would basically just be like an MCU movie, where it's a small percentage of things that would need to be CGI, but you could overwhelmingly still probably do most of it in live action. Because the thing is, these days, no mainstream movie is completely without, even the ones that go above and beyond to utilize as many practical effects as possible, they still have some element of CGI and visual effects, even if it's something basic like removing camera rigs or wires. There's always some element of visual effects, and it's not like, I don't want to make a dichotomy between practical effects good, CGI bad, because the best movies utilize them both. And I think the perfect example of this is in The Final Reckoning. So, Tom Cruise really does go below the water to a physical, practical submarine, and he's physically tumbling around those rooms with real torpedoes crushing him to the deck. All of that's real. It's a real set they built in this enormous gimbal that they rotated around and submerged in water. However, there are CGI elements, and those are any of the particles or any of the dust, because if they actually filmed with dust in the tank or any kind of other background atmospheric elements, or like flares, for instance, it would pollute the tank. And that would ruin their ability to get any clean shots ever again, because they just have these things clogging up the frame. So they film it all clean in clean water, and then they add the dust, and they add the... I think the bubbles are real, but they add dust, and they add flares, and they add all that stuff in post, so that you can still have a real action scene filmed for real, but that is then enhanced by CGI and visual effects. It's just when something becomes overly CGI, and at that point you have nothing real left to grab onto, that it kind of feels fake. But the thing is, when visual effects artists do their job well, you won't even realize that they've done anything at all. But more to the point with Pixar live-action remakes, it's mainly just the topic of if something can be done mostly with real humans and without an overabundance of CGI, then you could technically justify doing it in live action, to the point where no more CGI would be necessary than any other additional, than any standard live action superhero movie. But if you use something like Finding Nemo or Monsters, Inc., or Inside Out, or obviously Toy Story, at that point you'd just be doing what Pixar already did, except there's a couple scenes with real humans and then the rest of it is just fake. So why bother? You'd also need CGI for Helen Stretch. Of course, right, yeah. All-time favorite Mission Impossible stunt? It's tough. I think it has to be the aerial sequence of Final Reckoning. It's the level of effort, and I don't think people really fully appreciate how physically punishing it is for Tom to be on that wing with hundreds of miles, with winds blasting at hundreds of miles an hour. And not even that, but the pilots, the level of precise coordination and communication the pilots have to have, especially when they're right up on top. Like when he's jumping from one plane to the other, the planes have to be right on top of each other. There is no room for error. And when they're flying in the Oliphant's Canyon, where they're like barely like inches above the ground, the slightest downdraft, gust of wind, if anything goes wrong, they're dead immediately. There is no way to recover from that. They're all going down in a blaze of fire, and it's going to be horrible. And then when you add on top of that there's cinematography going on, the pilots essentially have to learn photography and cinematography in order to know at what position to at what angle to position the plane so that they get the best lighting for the shot. Tom Cruise has to be his own camera operator when he's in the plane, because there's obviously no one in the plane that can operate the camera. He's doing that himself while also acting, and in some cases even flying the plane. So much goes into those sequences, and on top of that, just being fucking awesome to watch. I think that is probably my answer for my all-time favorite Mission Impossible stunt. Just in time for me to stomp you into space bits. Ah! How do I feel about the practical CGI balance in Interstellar? I'd say it's perfect. They use models, they use miniatures and models and real wires to simulate zero-G when necessary. And they even built that giant thing at the end of the movie. They even built a real model of that, which of course doesn't expand forever like it does in the movie. But they built a practical version of it for Matthew McConaughey to physically interact with, so he had something to play off of. And then they expanded it and enhanced it in CGI. And like that is actually a perfect example of CGI used to the best of its abilities, when you have something, because it's not even the advent of, or the benefit of practicality doesn't even have to do with, well, it looks better, because sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depends on the effect. But the main reason why you want to have something practical on set for them to work with is, one, it gives the actors something to physically interact with and play off of, and two, it gives a perfect lighting reference for CGI artists and visual effects artists to be able to convincingly recreate something. And that's why in Top Gun Maverick, at the end of Top Gun Maverick, they aren't using real, like the 5th gen fighters. Those planes don't exist. But they did still film it for real with real planes. And the reason why is because it gives the visual effects, like, what I mean basically is that they did all the stunts for real. They did all the crazy aerobatics. All that was done for real. But then the visual effects team would paint over the planes they use to make them look like the real planes that they're actually supposed to be flying. And the reason why you can't tell, and why the final climax of Top Gun Maverick looks as good as it does, is because they have the real planes as a lighting reference. And also, so that the physics of how the planes would realistically move in the air when doing all these crazy stunts, that is never lost in translation. So the animators are never tempted to go too crazy or too cartoonish, because they know how the planes are supposed to look, and they know how the planes are supposed to move in reality. And that's why, if you ask the average person, they'd probably tell you that there's no CGI in Top Gun Maverick. They'd probably tell you that it's all done for real, which it is all done for real, but is then painted over and enhanced in visual effects. And that's why visual effects artists deserve a lot more credit than they get, because, like I mentioned earlier, when they do their job well, you won't even realize they've done anything at all. What do I want in the Mario Galaxy movie, and how do I think they could get the story right? Honestly, I don't really have much investment in the Mario Galaxy movie, because I wasn't really wowed by the first one. I mean, I'll still see it. Much like with FNAF Movie 2, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt that the Galaxy movie will be better than the original Mario movie. But I'm not, like, I don't have aspirations or hopes or things I would want to see in it. Fallout or Maverick? Oh, goddamn, that's a hard question. I think Mission Impossible Fallout, I'd lean slightly towards, just because I think the script is tighter. I think there's a couple holes you could poke in Top Gun Maverick, but Fallout is airtight. It is basically a bulletproof script. You heard Tom Holland was injured during a stunt of filming. I did hear that. I also heard that he's recovering, because I think someone said his head was, like, cracked open, which, if that's true, that's... There's no way he's back to filming because they said they're going to take a week off from filming so he can recover. If he cracked his head open, he's not back to filming in a week. I think that might be news headlines over-sensationalizing things. I think the truth is that he got a concussion, a bad concussion, but he might, I mean, if someone knows this for sure, you can fact check me on this. But I find it hard to believe, I'll say, that he would be back to filming so quickly after having cracked his head open, if that's actually what happened. Best edited movie you've ever seen. My usual go-to answer for this is Inception, because it's such a complex movie, and there's so many moving pieces happening at different layers, at different times, and at different speeds, all with different rules, and all of it has to read for the audience. They have to communicate. They have to make sure this incredibly complex. Like, if you actually draw out a flowchart of what's happening in the story of Inception, it would look like a giant. It would look like the Matrix in Wreck-It Ralph when King Candy goes into the code of Sugar Rush. That's what it would look like. But it is a testament to both the writing and especially the editing that they are able to take that incredibly complex story and make it and simplify it enough so that anybody could follow it. Like, I honestly think Oppenheimer is more difficult for the average person to follow along with than Inception, because Inception is still a linear story, whereas Oppenheimer jumps around all over the place. Which is not, it's not to say that Oppenheimer is hard to follow, but I think, like if your grandmother watched Inception, I think she'd get it. If she watched Oppenheimer, it might be harder to do because of the way in which the story is presented. Which I know sounds insane. I guess that would be my Christopher Nolan hot take, but I think just in terms of how the stories are presented, it is a testament to Inception's exceptional editing that I can even say that. Thoughts on Crash Bandicoot? I only played 2 of the games, but of the 2 games I played, I liked them. Crash 2 is the best, and I'm reluctant to play Crash 3 because I've heard it's not as good as the other 2, and it has a lot of gimmicky things. Kind of like, the reason Spyro 3 is my least favorite of the trilogy is because it has a lot of gimmicky things with all the side characters that I'm not really a fan of. I especially don't like the skateboarding sections. And I've heard that it's kind of a similar thing with Crash 3, which doesn't really inspire me to want to check out Crash 3. But maybe I will in the future, because I own the trilogy. I played the first 2 games on the Insane trilogy, so I have access to the 3rd game. So maybe one day I'll check it out, so to complete the trilogy. But as of right now, I have very little incentive to do so. And see, I guess I should also say, Crash 3 is kind of, at the very least, it's polarizing. And the proof of this is back-to-back in chat, we have Crash 3 is the best, actually, but you haven't played it. And then immediately followed by, Crash 3 kind of sucks, it gets worse the more I think about it. And, yes, the duality of man, indeed. Why did I go up here when the launch star was down there? That was silly. Don't I just love swimming physics? Yeah, if there's one thing about Galaxy that I'm not too fond of, it's underwater swimming physics. I mean, they're fine, but they're kind of annoying as well at the same time. Have I played Banjo-Kazooie? I will eventually. It's on the list. It's on the list of games for me to play. Courtesy of Avert. He's got his, one of many things we've traded over the years. Top 3 Marvel films? I would need to rewatch them all to be able to say for sure. Off the top of my head, I think what my answer used to be, the top 2 I think were Spider-Man Homecoming and Captain America Civil War. And then the third one, I'm not sure what the third one would have been. It might have been either of the 2 Guardians movies, Guardians 1 or Guardians 2 of the original Infinity Saga. But I would need to, I think I have an old ranking list on a Q&A video I did a while ago. I do not remember what I said or what I put where, but I can almost guarantee you that if I looked at it today, I would put everything very different places. But I am probably going to rewatch the Infinity Saga sometime in the near future, so might be interesting in seeing how that changes. Also, the storybook just opened, and Hungry Luma just appeared. Cool. Favorite Galaxy music track from the first game, favorite for the second. From the first, it's Gusty Garden Galaxy. From the second, it might be Cosmic Cove Galaxy. Or Yoshi Star Galaxy. But I don't know, it's... Oh, actually, the credits loop, the credits of Galaxy 2 might also be. That's a solid contender for my favorite. But the thing with the Galaxy, I mentioned this earlier, the thing with Galaxy soundtracks is that each track is so phenomenal that you could really pick anything and no one would really bat an eye. It's like, yep, that makes sense why you'd pick that as your favorite. You've heard Homecoming is kind of not good. You've heard from people who are wrong. Homecoming is really solid. It's really the only one of the MCU Spider-Man trilogy that I don't have lots and lots of issues with. Homecoming is pretty tight. I'm not saying it's bulletproof. There's probably some things I could pick at if I wanted to. But it's mostly really, really good. And it has a third act twist that is one of the most memorable twists I've ever had in any movie ever. Like, that's... I'll always remember exactly where I was, what I was, and how I was feeling when I watched Homecoming for the first time. And I got to that scene. And anyone who's seen the movie, you know exactly why, or exactly what I'm referring to. I loved Homecoming when I watched it the first time. Maybe I wouldn't like it as much if I revisited it, but I think if nothing else, that final scene, or not final scene, that final act, I think I would still be quite fond of. I sound tired? I'm good. I'm not tired. It's just how I talk. Believe me, if I sounded tired, I'd sound more like this, and I'd sound miserable, and I wouldn't want to be here. I hate this game, and I hate everything. That's not, this is just how my voice sounds. But, no, I am not tired. I got very solid sleep last night. That being said, I will probably take a break in a little bit here, just so I can eat lunch. But I am not tired. I'm good. I kind of yell every word I say, man. Yeah, so hey guys, back at it again with another Mario Galaxy live stream. We're here today. We're playing Beach Bowl. I'm trying to get this Cataquack, and whoa, up in the air I go. Whoa, that's pretty sick. And look at this, I got a brand new ice flower. Whoa, that's pretty. I'm already sick of this gimmick. Yeah, that's just how I talk. Sorry, that's that do be how my voice rolls. Also, I'm not trying to make fun of you, I promise. I just wanted to have a little fun doing an over-exaggerated Let's Player's voice. Thoughts on the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy? 1 is solid. 2, I find a little overrated, but I understand why people like it so much. And 3, I know 3 is a cult classic of some people. I do not get the appeal at all.
Smash that like button and subscribe, and at 5K likes, we'll do part 2!
Some people used to be hearing me pissed off. That's fair. Yeah, I do wonder what the experience is like for someone who primarily watches my videos, where I'm like, who wrote this? What happened to the script? And then they come here and I sound like a normal person. Because that is the thing I think a lot of people don't necessarily fully realize, is that for most YouTubers, especially for video essayists, they do have a rehearsed voice for when they do narration. Which isn't to say that it's faked. Like, I've never had to fake emotions for anything that I've done on YouTube. There's an important distinction between faking something and being performative, because at the end of the day, you know, we're YouTubers. Our goal is to entertain people. Not saying we always succeed, but that's our goal. That's what we're trying to do. So we like to put on voices, and we like to put on a bit of a show to try to entertain people. So, you know, it takes, like, man, it'd be a lot easier to make my videos if I didn't have to sound that pissed off at things. It's, because it takes a lot of, like, I just did a recording session yesterday for something, and it takes, even when I'm not super pissed at something, it takes a lot of effort to have that level of energy in my voice for hours at a time. Because you gotta remember, if a video is an hour long, it doesn't take an hour for me to record the audio for that. It can take, well, for the D23 video, it took 6 hours. to record all the raw audio, because I do a lot of alternate takes to give myself options when editing, and also I sometimes find, even though I like to, I mean, I guess you can tell me if you disagree, I think I'm a pretty articulate person when talking ordinarily, but for some reason, whenever I get in front of a script, I just find it really hard to complete a sentence without stuttering or stumbling over my words, which is also why it takes a lot longer to record the raw audio for things, which also means that I have to put on that voice for more extended periods of time, which is really, really tiring, really, it's the reason why Tom Hanks, not to equate what I do to what the voice actors of Pixar movies do, but it's a reason why Tom Hanks says that doing Woody is some of the most exhaustive acting he's ever done in his life, because you have to channel all your energy into your voice, and it can be really, really exhausting really, really quickly. So there's a difference between, like, faking being angry at something that you're not angry at, and genuinely feeling those emotions, but just enhancing them and heightening them for the sake of a video's entertainment, or at least attempted entertainment. So yeah, I understand why some people might be caught off guard that I sound like not that I'm not permanently pissed at the world all the time. Ooh, now this is a question. What films that my parents love that I hate? Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. For some reason, I don't get it, but that's one of the ones that they really, really love. That movie came out my senior year of high school, and we all went to see it as a family. And I was just fucking baffled the whole movie. It was like, how is this real? How is this a real movie that I'm watching? And I thought that it'd be the same, that we'd all, like, crap on it together after the movie was over. We walked out of the theater, and they were like, that might be my favorite Star Wars movie I've ever seen. And I'm like, what? You what? You what? Come again? I mean, hey, look, to each their own, but I don't understand that. That really confused the hell out of me when they said that. I mean, I guess I kind of understand, because, like, if you don't think about any of Rise of Skywalker and you just watch movies with your brains turned off, which I think is how a lot of people like to consume movies, which, you know, it's fine. People get enjoyment out of things the way they get enjoyment out of things. If that is how you engage with media, it's Rise of Skywalker is technically, it has all the hallmarks of a crowd-pleasing movie. Oop, I think that I'm going down. Right, because it's very fast-paced, constant action, jumping all over the place. It has the big final battle with all the 8 billion, quadrillion, spadillion Star Destroyers. So, like, from that perspective, I kind of understand why it would be a crowd-pleasing movie, but I was so... The part where Rey shoots lightning out of her fingertips and allegedly kills Chewbacca, and then one scene later, it's like, oh, he's fine, by the way. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are we doing? You know? The sequel trilogy is underrated, and they had a very clear plan from the beginning. They knew exactly what story they wanted to tell. They didn't change writers and directors twice. It's not a mangled mess. It's the best Star Wars stuff. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that would be my example of a movie that my parents love that I hated. There's others, I'm sure, that I could... Oh, my dad really hates... I mean, I guess this is the reverse. My dad really hates Toy Story 2. That's one. Thanks for stopping by, Avert. Enjoy the rest of your day. Oh no, the fast forward comment's already here. Ah, shit. What does my dad not like about Toy Story 2? So, I don't know... Okay, so here's the thing. One day, when... a couple years ago, I was with my parents, and it was after my dad had drank a little, and in that state, he was a little more... You know, I mean, most people... When people are under the influence of alcohol, they are sometimes more candid than they otherwise would be. And he told me that night... Because we were talking about... Because it was around the time that my Toy Story 4 series was first coming out, so we were talking about that. and he mentioned just offhandedly that he thinks it's not actually Toy Story 2 that he dislikes, it's Kelsey Grammer, because he's never liked Kelsey Grammer as an actor. And then, so that has inversely poisoned his ability to appreciate Toy Story 2 as a movie. Now, if you ask him about this today, he would deny it ever happened. Or he may just genuinely not remember because, you know, alcohol. But I think that has a lot to do with it, more so than anything the movie itself did. But yeah, I don't know that for sure. I'm not him. I don't have a window into his brain. But that would be, I believe, the main thing happening with Toy Story 2. It was funny. Just a little while ago, he texted me saying he was watching my Toy Story 3 series, and he said I was with you until the part where you said you like Toy Story 2. Favorite Cartoon Network show? Over the Garden Wall. Love Over the Garden Wall. Granted, I haven't seen many Cartoon Network shows, but I have seen Over the Garden Wall, and I loved it. Loved Over the Garden Wall. Have I watched Shazam? No, I have not. So I pretend to care more about the things I talk about in the video than in reality. I feel like I was pretty explicit about this, although this might have been before I added a clarifier, but no, I don't pretend to. I've never had to fake passion or emotions for anything. Every video I've made is completely, well, okay, I mean, older videos, there's some things I might say that I wouldn't say now, or a tone I had that I wouldn't have now, but broadly speaking, well, I'll say, at the time I made each video I made them, I was never doing it dishonestly. I was never faking emotions or faking arguments or anything like that. It's just, for the purposes of entertainment, you will sometimes take the emotional experience you had with something and enhance it and heighten it. Because that's what, you know, that's what doing voice over stuff is. It's all about trying to convey emotions through nothing but your voice and bringing out that side of you. And it's kind of cathartic because it's allowed me to vent those types, either frustrations or positive feelings, in a way that I never really could before I found YouTube. But no, to make absolutely clear, I have never pretended to care about something, nor have I ever faked emotions for something. That's not what I mean when I say that being a YouTuber involves being performative to a certain extent. And if I'm being honest, I think any YouTuber who says they aren't being performative is not being entirely honest. Like, even, like, I like to think that even though I have just gone on a whole diatribe about how the speech I have in my videos, especially for the really big Destroyed Everything series where I'm just ranting constantly, how that is a performative element. I like to think that I am still, my personality is still authentic to how because like I said, I've never had to lie about anything, it's just enhancing my emotions. But even with that, like, even people who are super authentic with their videos, I think everyone on YouTube is performative to a certain extent, because that's what YouTube's all about, right? Is entertaining people. I think just people, maybe not even consciously, act differently when they know they're being filmed, even when they're at their most authentic. I just think that's an inherent, like, human personality thing. But that doesn't diminish the quality. Like, are there some people who entirely put on a character? Sure, but I think when people say they're performative, it's not in the broad strokes that you might be thinking of when describing that experience. And I think I think it's also a very normal thing, both for humans and especially YouTubers. Also, I'm getting very hungry, so I think after this Galaxy, I'm gonna take a small break. I'm gonna go grab myself some food, and then I'll come back and we'll keep going. I don't know how long I'm gonna go for today, but I think we might try to get through the kitchen, which is the dome we're in currently. And then we'll call things off. Oh, shit. Well, I guess first I gotta beat this level first. You remembered hearing the editors of Toy Story 3 combine multiple parts of rehearsed lines for the final film? So that's not just Toy Story 3, that's audio editing in general. And I guarantee any Pixar movie, or really any movie in general, they will often, in the editing process, take they will essentially super score an actor's performance. So if they really like the way an actor said this part of the line, but not the way they said this part of the line, they will cut those two together and do it in such a seamless way that you won't even notice. In fact, I do that in my videos. Hopefully, you'll never realize I'm doing it, but constantly in my videos, I will take the best parts of individual parts of a take to create the best possible take. I did that, especially in the D23 video. I did that so many times. And ideally, you will never be able to tell me where I did it. I work really hard to try to make it such that you can't tell that I'm cutting two takes together. And then sometimes I'll run it by my friends and be like, hey, can you tell that I've stitched this together? And if they say yes, then I'm like, okay, well, I gotta go back and fix it. And if they say no, then all right, then I feel pretty good about this. But yeah, that's just a standard thing with editing the audio for movies in general. But yes, it is it's a skill you have to acquire, and it's very, very seamless how they manage to do all that. Ever seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners? No, but I have heard it's really good. Have I seen the first and only Megamind movie? Yes, Megamind is a masterpiece. That's another one that could be in the running for the best DreamWorks movies. We were talking about that earlier. If I had to pick between Turnabout, Serenade, and Succession, which is less awful, Serenade is slightly less awful. You think a sign of good voice acting is if someone can tell your facial expressions simply from your voice? I think so. And I try to do, not saying I always succeed, but I do try to make it so that you can kind of tell my emotions through my voice. Whether I always succeed is, I guess, up to the viewer, but that is always my goal. Am I going to beat this in one sitting? No, definitely not. I think my goal today is to get through the kitchen. So, like, here. We have this galaxy, and then this galaxy. I might do a little bit in the next dome. Maybe. We'll see. Because the next dome, the bedroom, has a lot of really long galaxies. So maybe not. We'll have to see. But I will at least finish out this dome for now. And then we'll see what happens after that. And on that note, I will take a small break. I'll be back here in probably like 5 minutes or so. I'm just gonna grab some food. And then we will continue playing some Mario Galaxy. I will see you briefly. I'm back, and I'm ready to roll. Continuing onward in the kitchen dome. Let's see what I miss. Was I at Disney World Parks recently because I showed Coronado Springs in my D23 video? Yes, that was actually where I was on vacation at. FG and I, we took a week at the start of September to, well, I guess the end of August, start of September. We went to Orlando for a week. We didn't only go to Disney, we went to Universal as well. But we just stayed at a Disney hotel because those are the hotels I'm familiar with because I went there a lot when I was a kid. I gave her a list of all the options, and that was the one she picked, so we got a room there. And then we stayed for a week, going to theme parks and water parks and all that stuff. I remember distinctly where I was when the Jesse Leak stuff came out. We were at our cabana at Volcano Bay at Universal, and I was just checking. We were both catching up on notifications, and I saw someone posted on the Discord server like, "Hey, this might be some leaked stuff about Jesse," and I'm like, "Oh, joy!" I put it out of sight, out of mind as quickly as I could because we were there to chill, hang out with each other for a week before she went back to London for the semester. But man, it's hard. It can be hard to not think about stuff when you're just incredibly worried about how it's all gonna play out. But yes, I was there with FG. Do I have a favorite X-Men movie or show? No, because I haven't seen any X-Men movie or show. So I do not. You have a newfound appreciation for Kung Fu Panda 3. Yeah, I liked it a lot more than because I rewatched the trilogy leading up to Kung Fu Panda 4. Back when I still thought that movie had hope. And I went into 3 kind of expecting, maybe not to hate it, but expecting that I would be disappointed by it. Because I liked it when it came out, but then, you know, you grow up and you hear all the discourse and you're like, you see people saying like, oh, 3 is kind of meh, it's not that great, and da-da-da. But I watched it and I was like, you know, that was a lot better than I expected it to be. It's still, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, clearly not as good as the first 2. But few animated movies can be as good as them. And it's still solid. And the most important part is that the ending is perfect. It's exactly where the franchise should have ended. But alas, it did not. And here we are in the future with a 4th movie. And I think 5 and 6 are also coming at some point. Which is gonna suck if that's true. Well, I guess they may not suck and like not automatically guaranteed to be bad, but you could say I'm concerned, given how 4 turned out. Is it better villain Tai Lung or Lord Shen? Oh, that's so... That's another one that's just really hard. Much like I've struggled to find out, to decide what's better, what the better movie is overall, I really struggle to say which of the, because they're very different types of villains. I could make an argument for either of them, I don't know. Gun to my head, I'd say Tai Lung. But the way Lord Shen ties into Poe's backstory is so good, so I don't know. The final fight between Poe and Kai is honestly pretty epic. Yeah, that's what I mean. The final act of Kung Fu Panda 3 is, without a doubt, the best part of it. You also get Bryan Cranston in there, you get J.K. Simmons, you got some really great voice actors in Kung Fu Panda 3. Of course, I say that, Bryan Cranston's in 4 as well, and even though his subplot is the best part of 4, there's only so much you can do to salvage that story. Welcome back. I can see your brother from here. If you ask him, I bet he'll help you search for Power Stars. And I'm sure he has a lot to tell you. You should go speak to him over there by the garage. How long am I going to stream for? like I mentioned earlier, the plan is to get through the kitchen, which don't know how long that'll take. I might do a little bit in the bedroom, but I'm not going to be like all day. I'd say probably another hour or hour and a half at maximum, and then I'll call it for the day. But I don't have a set stopping time today. I have today fully blocked off. I could theoretically beat it in one sitting. I don't really plan to, though. How would I feel if they made a live action of the Owl House? I'm confident they never would, but it would upset me greatly if they did. Much like it would upset me if they made live action remakes of really any of their things. Thoughts on Cars on the Road? Hi, I made a whole video about how much I was annoyed by Cars on the Road. It's not unreasonable to assume the leak is fake. Yeah, well, that's why I was very careful when making the D23 video. To be like, there's a lot of reasons to assume that this could be entirely fabricated. Don't panic just yet. But for the purposes of the thought experiment, I will operate under the assumption that it is accurate. And we'll see. But the thing is, like, I can see it being real. Because they've said it's going to be a lot about Jesse. And people are very cryptic about what exactly that means. And how involved in the story Jesse will be. It just seems like a lot, is all. It seems like the story is juggling too much, if it is true. And, you know, even apart from the fact that Jesse is going to have a bigger role and that this could be what they mean by that, even ignoring all that, it's... Oh no. It's not hard to understand why they would want to go back to Toy Story 2. Like, it makes sense if they're looking for something, because here's the thing, I don't think you're ever gonna see something from Pixar again, at least not in the Toy Story franchise, that rivals the incinerator scene as far as how audacious it is. Like that's not something, no one walking into the theater in 2010 expected to see something like the incinerator sequence. And it's because it was so unexpected that it was so effective. I just don't... I think Pixar's too afraid to do anything like that again, which is really upsetting, because they used to be... They used to pride themselves on not doing... Like, they brought Brad Bird in to make The Incredibles because they were so afraid of repeating themselves and becoming formulaic, or becoming too comfortable with their status in the animation industry, having had so many massively successful hits in a row. And I just don't really see that happening, anything like that happening again. I think they've had too many financial problems all in a row. They've lost the status, the untouchable godhood that they had back in the early days of Pixar. And of course, it's, you know, they never could have held on to that forever. There's no way they could have consistently been the untouchable gods of the... Nothing built can last forever. But it's not even just that they're no longer the cream of the crop. They're at the bottom of the barrel, essentially. The way they treat their workers, the quality output, barring highlights like Inside Out 2, I think they're too chicken shit afraid to make anything like the incinerator scene, or Soul, or WALL-E, or anything like that. And I don't like being doom and gloom about this stuff. I don't find it productive, but I'm being realistic. I'm just looking at what I see happening with Pixar, and it bums me out. It bums me out. It really does. Seeing what's become of a studio that I used to have such high reverence for. Did I go to Epic Universe? Yes, we did. That was the main reason we went, is because we wanted to go to Epic Universe. Or, yeah, I mean, she was more into it than I was, because she's more into Universal than I was. But I still wanted to see it. I love theme parks. I wanted to see a new theme park. And they have a lot of really cool rides there, but I don't think they were ready to open. They have a lot of capacity issues. And it's like it's kind of a domino effect where when one thing breaks, everything else breaks really quickly. Like, if they slow down for even a little bit, they very quickly come to a screeching halt. If one ride breaks, it causes a chain effect, a chain reaction everywhere, where no one can keep, like, if it's operating at maximum capacity and maximum efficiency, they can move through people pretty quickly. But when things start breaking, which they have broken a lot, you get these massive wait times on top. You add it on top of the fact that a lot of people want to go to this park and want to ride these rides. There's people have made some really good videos about how, basically, yeah, Epic Universe is amazing, but it's riddled with problems. Like, the core of what Epic Universe is and what it's offering is absolutely remarkable. But you aren't always getting that optimal experience because of some critical, foundational issues in how the park is constructed, and, well, not constructed, but how their systems are in place right now. I hope when crowds die down at some point, oh god, when crowds die down at some point, it'll become more manageable. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Let's see how things play out. What I guess I can say, I wouldn't recommend... I would not... And this is also factoring in, by the way. We splurged on Express Pass just because we knew that it might be the only chance we get to go to Epic Universe for a long time, so we figured it was worth pitching in the extra money. And even with Express Pass, we were having enormous slowdown issues. I can't even imagine what that park experience would be like without Express Pass. So I do not think Epic Universe was ready to open. And I can nitpick some things. Like, there's a lot of sightline issues where the idea is you're supposed to be fully immersed in each individual universe, because you're going to portals to all the different universes. And the portal effect is cool and has a lot of cool visual effects and sound effects. But, you know, when you can look over and see Mario World over the crest of the hill, it kind of loses the immersion they're going for. But, you know, those are kind of nitpicky things. Broadly speaking, it's just foundationally, they need to revamp how their capacity works. Because as it stands, I don't think the rides can handle the level of pressure the guests are putting on them. And both just in terms of their ability to not break down, and also their ability to recover. Like, in the morning, it starts out really, really clean. Very few operational issues. But once one thread gets loose, the whole thing starts to unravel. And this may not make any sense to anyone who doesn't, like, avidly follow theme parks or hasn't been themselves. I recommend checking out, if you're interested in the topic, checking out some videos on Epic Universe to hopefully get a better idea of what I'm trying to say here. But I get that it may not be something that appeals to everyone. Have I ever rewatched The Phantom Menace after the audio commentary? No, but I am planning on rewatching the Star Wars movies sometime soon. Just because I said I was going to do it last year, because when I was at Disneyland in California riding the new Star Wars, well, new for me, because I hadn't ridden them since they opened, the new Star Wars rides, made me like, hey, maybe I do like Star Wars. I should rewatch the movies. And I never got around to it. But I was skimming through A New Hope, trying to find footage for my D23 video. And I was pretty happy with what I saw, so I was like, you know, maybe I should revisit these and see if I like the original trilogy. Because I'm not a Star Wars fan, really. Unless, like I said in the D23 video, unless you count Lego Star Wars. I'm not really a Star Wars fan in the traditional sense. But I did still remember liking the original trilogy when I watched them for the first... Not for the first time. When I was doing my Lego Star Wars walkthrough, I would watch each movie of the original trilogy. I didn't watch the prequels, but I watched each movie of the original trilogy after I beat each respective game and each respective movie in the game. And even The Force Awakens. The Force Awakens is the closest I've ever come to actually being a proper Star Wars fan, because that was like my generation's version of Star Wars, so the hype for it was insane, and everyone was getting super hyped and ready for it to come out in theaters. And I was there pretty much day one to see it. And I saw it with my family. I saw it with my grandfather. It was actually the last movie I saw with my grandfather before he passed away. And it was a big deal for him because he doesn't like he wasn't really usually a movie guy. It wasn't really his thing. So for him to walk out of Force Awakens saying that he really enjoyed himself, that was a big deal for us because that didn't usually happen. So that was like on top of the world getting to see this huge epic new Star Wars movie on the big screen in my lifetime. But then The Last Jedi came out, and people's polarizing reactions to it kind of killed any hype I originally had for the sequel. Even though the ending of Force Awakens has so much potential, I was like, oh, if they fumbled the bag, then maybe I won't see it. And, yeah, well, things just only continue to spiral further downward from that point. Did anyone else think Inside Out 2 was necessary? Oh, dude, that's another one. I remember exactly where I was. I was going to visit my family when the news, not even the news, when the rumor, or no, actually, no, it wasn't a rumor. I don't think. I think it was itself that broke out in August of 2022. I was at an airport in, I don't even remember. I think it was in North Carolina. I was catching a connecting flight to go visit my family for the summer, and I checked my phone right before I got on the plane, and the last thing I saw was Inside Out 2 is happening, and I was just so furious, because that's not, because it wasn't even because I didn't think that it deserved a sequel, because unlike some movies like Coco, which should never ever get a sequel, and yet here we are and it's getting one, Inside Out kind of ends not baiting a sequel, but teasing the possibility of a sequel. Because Joy's like, after all, Riley's 12 now. What could happen? Then it cuts to black because, of course, the way the movie started was Joy saying, Riley's 11 now. What could happen? And then what happened is the movie. So it lend itself to a sequel possibility. The problem is I just didn't trust Pixar. After Toy Story 4 and Incredibles 2, I was like, I don't trust you guys to do... And also, Lightyear was the same year. Lightyear did a lot to just kill my investment in Pixar. Or not investment, but my faith in Pixar. Because Lightyear is just so bad. Seriously so bad. So, yeah, that's... I was really, really pessimistic about Inside Out 2. Which is why I was so pleasantly surprised to be proven wrong, and it ended up being really great. Same way I felt about Last Wish. In my Best Movies video, when I was talking about... It was Best Movies, right? That I was talking about Shrek 2, and I got a lot of comments, because I made a comment about how I didn't have any faith in Last Wish. And pretty much all I've gotten on that video since then is comments saying, boy, this aged poorly. And I'm like, hell yeah, it aged poorly. That's a good thing. That means The Last Wish was actually great. I was really happy with Last Wish. Even though I really didn't have any... I wasn't even going to go see it. But then everyone said how amazing it was. And I was like, really? Okay. I'll try it, I guess. And, yeah. It was indeed amazing. Favorite scene in Toy Story 4? That's an easy one. It's the kindergarten scene. The entire kindergarten sequence with Bonnie being so anxious about going to school for the first time, that hits home. That's raw right there. That is legitimately really great stuff. And even just the whole concept of, like, even though the other toys in Bonnie's room lambast Woody for doing the correct thing, that Woody is willing to defy orders from Dolly and defy what seems like the rational choice because he sees that his kid needs help and he won't be satisfied unless he knows she's taken care of. So he goes to school with her. That is Woody. That is the cowboy that I fell in love with in the original trilogy through and through. Yes, that's what makes... Because, like, Buzz in Toy Story 4 is just shit from minute one. Like, there's no point where Buzz is anything other than absolutely dreadful. But at least Woody, like, they stair-step him up. Ignoring the prologue, obviously, because obviously in the prologue, he's like, oh, maybe I will go with Bo Peep and abandon Andy, even though this is in the Toy Story 2 era where I just had a whole arc about this. Ignoring that, they stair step him up to the betrayal in the end, whereas Buzz is just, and I think that's part of why people are more willing to accept that Buzz was destroyed than they are to accept that Woody was destroyed, because there's no getting it. Like, but just this first second you see Buzz in the RV at night, he's already yapping about, who do you think it is? The voice inside of you. Who do you think it is? And you just want to stab yourself. It's so painful. It's so painful to listen to. And then it doesn't get better. It just keeps getting worse. The time it goes on, it just keeps getting worse. Whereas at least Woody starts in a good position, trying to take care of Bonnie, and then it just unravels. So yeah, I'd say the kindergarten scene is my favorite scene in Toy Story 4. Thoughts on Whiplash? Whiplash is a masterpiece, as Ava said. The incinerator scene in Toy Story 3 always gives you a huge anxiety and panic attack. Yeah, I mean, it's not to that extent for me to where it's a full-on actual anxiety and panic attack, but it is incredibly overwhelmingly emotional. Every time I watch it. It's so, so good. It's why I struggle to decide whether the incinerator scene or the final goodbye is the most emotionally effective part of Toy Story 3. So Toy Story 2 is easy. It's Jesse's flashback. But for Toy Story 3, it's a little harder. But mainly, I think I just consider the whole I kind of touched on this a little in my Toy Story 3 series. I consider the whole third act to just be one giant emotional arc that they build you up to. It's just a series of emotional crescendos that just keep building and building in intensity until the final moment where Woody says, "So long, partner." That's why Toy Story 3 is really, really great. You hope Hoppers and Gata was good. Yeah, I hope they're good. I want them to be good. I'm questioning how they'll turn out, is all. You have no faith for Toy Story 5 or Coco 2, but slight interest for Incredibles 3. Same. I'm kind of neutral on Incredibles 3 until I know more about it. Like, is there going to be a time skip, or is there not? Are they, how, I just need to know more. I just need to know more. Right now, I'm, like, entirely neutral on it. Whereas Coco 2, I'm actively against. And Toy Story 5, I have possibly misplaced hope for. Even after all the shit I've talked, I still have some, I just, not even justified faith, but blind, desperate hope. But then Incredibles 3, I just have nothing. I'm just, like, I'm willing to defend it against people who say that it's dead on arrival because Brad Bird's not directing. But beyond that, we don't know anything about it. So I'm mainly just neutral until we'll probably get more D23 next year, if I were to guess. Because it's coming out 2028, right? Or at least that's or 2027, 2028, right? Does anyone, I don't think they've, because Coco 2 is 2029. Gato then would be 2027, right? And I think that leaves 2028 as Incredibles 3. So, you know, we got our first proper look at Toy Story 5 D23 2024, which was 2 years before release in 2026. So we'll probably get the same at Incredibles 3, the same for Incredibles 3 next year as D23, if I were to guess. But we'll have to wait and see. Ow. Thoughts on Monsters University? I have mixed feelings on that movie. I don't hate it, I don't love it. I love elements of it, and some elements of it frustrate me. But I'm mixed on it overall, and that's one of the things I'll go more in depth with when I eventually release that Pixar ranking video. Have I visited Legoland while I was on vacation? No. I went to Legoland when I was a kid. Like a really young... I think Legoland... I mean, I haven't been there in a long time, so the place could be totally different right now. But when I was there... Because I went there on a field trip for school when I was a kid. And I loved it when I was a kid. It was awesome seeing the Lego City area where you see all these cities built out of entirely Legos. Some of the roller coasters were cool. The coolest thing I did there was getting to drive a car and get my own little Lego. I think I still have that little Legoland license I got from when I was a kid. That is the coolest thing you can do there. But I kind of think it's mainly effective at super young kids. I think if I went there as an adult, I may not enjoy it as much as I did when I was a kid. So I never went back. But I liked it when I was a kid. Least favorite form of comedy? Easy answer, toilet humor. That will always be my answer. I don't think very highly. With extremely rare exception, I don't think very highly of toilet humor. How was Tiana's Bayou Adventure? You think it was good, but it never replaced the Splash Mountain masterpiece? I don't think it's what anyone wants it, if I'm being honest. Because the reason why Splash Mountain was replaced is because it was attached to Song of the South, which is an extremely controversial and racially insensitive... I mean, I haven't seen it, so I'm speaking based on people who have seen it and have said these things. A very racially insensitive movie, which I don't even think you can watch anymore. Like, Disney doesn't really acknowledge its existence anymore. So that's why they replaced it. But it just... Tiana's Bayou Adventure doesn't work a lot of the time. Like, some of the animatronics are so complex, and when they're working, they're really impressive, but they don't... Because they're so complex, they don't work a lot of the time. So a lot of the times, you'll go by them, and either they will be out of sync and they won't do what they're supposed to do right away, or they just will be stuck in Big B mode, or they'll just be... I saw a video recently where Tiana, like, the first Tiana animatronic you see going up the crank hill is just T-posing, which is funny, or like maybe A-posing, I think. It's funny, but, you know, I think the people who are really excited for this ride, I can't imagine they're pleased with how it turned out. Especially, like, I don't know why the final hill going down the big 50-foot drop wasn't the bum 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 bum, are you ready, from Friends on the Other Side from the movie. I don't know why. That seems like the biggest missed opportunity in the world. I mean, it's a very beautiful ride. It's a very impressive ride visually. It's a fun ride. I think if I was super excited for it, I think it would fall short of my expectations. Favorite 3D Mario? Galaxy will always be your favorite. Mine is Galaxy 2. I love Galaxy 2 so much. Thoughts on Force Awakens? Like I mentioned earlier, I have a lot of personal memories associated with it. But I acknowledge that it's, you know, not that great. Very skeptical of Shrek 5. Oh, I have no faith in Shrek 5. I do not. I have some, like I said, arguably misplaced faith in Toy Story 5. I have none for Shrek 5. Zero. But I had zero faith in Last Wish, and it ended up being amazing, so maybe DreamWorks will prove me wrong again. That'd be cool. You know, I don't want it to be bad. I'd love for it to be good. I just am currently not being given any reason to expect that it will be good. Did I know Toy Story 4 was originally going to be a rom-com? Well, I knew it always had romance. Like, they always planned from the beginning to make it a romance between Woody and Bo Peep, and they still basically did that. I do know that the context and the tone has changed a lot from what it was originally supposed to be, but they still maintained the fundamental core of it being a story about Woody and Bo Peep. And, well, we all saw how that played out. Hope you visit South Korea. I would love to visit places around the world. I really would love to see a lot of countries. The thing is, it's more like FG's been all around the world. She's been so many places all around the world, and I'm envious of that. The thing is with me and my, if anyone here doesn't know, I have some pretty severe food allergies, which makes it harder for me to eat at a lot of, like, even just here in the US, where I speak the same language as the people serving me and making my food. I've still had allergic reactions at places that just don't care. And that's kind of frustrating. So when I'm traveling overseas, it's like I had never left the country in my life until just 2.5 months ago when I traveled to Europe to visit FG in London. That was a huge deal for me, leaving the country for the first time in my life. So to travel, like, I would love to go to the Toy Story Hotel in, I think, Japan. There's so many. I wanted to go to Mexico. There was a Mexico field trip that they were doing in high school that I couldn't go on just because they couldn't physically figure out how it would be safe for me, which was really I was really excited for that trip, and I think mainly because the trip came out, or the trip was happening a few months after Coco came out, and I loved Coco so much that I wanted to really, like, go to Mexico and really learn more about the culture firsthand, and it didn't happen. So, like, I'd love to be able to travel the world some more. It's just, it's not as straightforward for me as it is for a lot of other people. But I don't want to bum anyone out. Listen, I don't want to bum anyone out. I'm pretty happy with my lot in life. Do I wish I could explore more places? Yeah, and someday maybe I will, because FG and I are talking about trying to plan a Japan trip at some point to go to that Toy Story Hotel, and just to see, because she loves Japan. She's been there before. So it just takes a lot more planning than I think the average person would have to do to travel to places. So maybe one day I'll get to explore the world some more. What is that rare exception? Monsters Inc. The end of Monsters Inc. when Mike spends like 2 minutes trying to get the kid to laugh with actually clever jokes and puns, and none of it works. But then he just gives up and says, alright, I'm just gonna burp in his face, and that makes him laugh. That I like, because it's deliberately poking fun of the fact that it's so much easier to get kids to laugh by just doing stupid lowbrow humor like that than it is to actually tell clever jokes. When it's self-aware like that, I appreciate it more. Well, I say, like, I wouldn't even say I love that, but that doesn't piss me, or that doesn't upset me, whereas a lot of toilet humor really does just feel like, we'll play a fart because it's easy to make a kid laugh. Like the fart gun in Despicable Me is like, and Despicable Me is a great movie, but why is the fart gun there? Why? Well, because kids like burps and farts and pee and poo, and it's funny, and it's annoying. But yeah, like I said, rare exception. I cannot think of any other examples off the top of my head. Ah, shit. That fit that bill. Is the Switch version of the Wii? This is Switch. This is 3D All-Stars specifically. And then I'll play the Switch version of Galaxy 2 when it comes out next week. What games did a better job at reverse coursing? Combination of Dual Destiny, Spirit of Justice, or Halo Infinite? I think I'd say Halo Infinite, because I still feel that Phoenix's immediate snap back in Dual Destinies is too jarring. And then whereas Halo Infinite doesn't really have anything like that. Because but you know, I know not everyone thinks that Dual Destinies has that immediate snapback, but that would be what I say on that matter. Do I think I will enjoy SpongeBob's Titan of the Tide? I hope so. I hope I enjoy it. I enjoyed Cosmic Shake, and I enjoyed Rehydrate, even though they both have their faults. I still enjoyed them both. Tell you what I didn't enjoy, that fuck-ass Patrick Star game. One of the worst games I've ever played in my life. Holy shit, the Patrick Star game is so fucking bad, and I cannot believe they have the balls to charge $40 for that pile of shit. I only played it because it was on Game Pass, so I didn't have to spend any extra money on it, but good God, that was so bad. It was like a meme of a game, which I guess is the intent, and I'm sure little kids probably loved it, but I hated it. I hated it. I need to stop getting distracted. I should probably not look at chat while I do this. This is a Daredevil run, so I only got one hit to beat this guy. All right, I will look back. I'll read one more message. Japan? No! I can't go to Japan. What do you mean? I gotta get back home to my owner, Andy. Hey, look, see? He still has an owner. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you don't want to You don't want to quote Toy Story movies around me, because I will just keep going. I will just continue the quote until we reach the credits. Pretty bad idea. But yeah, to reiterate, I definitely do not want to bum anyone out and try to make anyone pity me, because I'm happy with where I am in life as far as the places. I've gotten to travel to so incredible places and seen incredible things. I feel very fortunate to have been able to go where I have. And like I said, I may still go to places around the world someday. It just takes more planning. A quick look back. Did I enjoy Sonic 3? Was it better than 2? I did enjoy Sonic 3 better than 2. But I wouldn't, I do believe Sonic 3 is a better movie than Sonic 2. But I don't know that it's like a vast improvement. Because 2 is still really good. And it's like 2 and 3 have different faults. Like, 2 has the entire wedding subplot that could have and should have just been entirely cut out. Sonic 3 has the gun infiltration sequence, which the more you think about it, the more your head starts to hurt. So it's different. They have different strengths and weaknesses, so they kind of balance out to around the same, but I would still say overall Sonic 3, the emotions of Sonic 3 and the emotional highs it hits, I don't think are reached by any of the other films in the series to date. What UK castle photo was in the D23 video? That was from a theme park called Alton Towers, which apparently was built around an actual castle that existed, which is pretty awesome. So, like, we got to actually walk around the castle and explore the grounds inside and out of it. And then, in addition to that, there's a whole theme park full of roller coasters and thrill rides. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. By the way, the thrill level in Alton Towers in the UK, way more intense than anything I've ever experienced in the US. And FG suspects the reason for that is because a lot of manufacturers for roller coaster materials are in Europe, so they can create more elaborate and complex rides when it's not as much of a hassle to get the materials required to create said rides. Is the Patrick Star game the worst SpongeBob game? I don't know about the worst SpongeBob game. Right, because there's stuff like, what, SpongeBob Hero Pants, I think? SpongeBob Hero Pants, I haven't played, but I know isn't very well received. It's at least the most broken of what I've played. I like Revenge of the Flying Dutchman, I think, is another one that isn't very good. Again, one I haven't played. Of what I've played, I think it is the worst SpongeBob game. But even if it's not, it is at least the most broken. Like, mechanically broken. Favorite part about Deadpool and Wolverine? The joke where Deadpool says, "Sorry, who's your speech coach? The Minions?" I actually laughed at that. I didn't laugh at most of the comedy in that movie, but that's one joke that I remember vividly laughing at. I did feel a little out of sorts because my whole audience was really eating up Deadpool and Wolverine. They were really, really enjoying it. I was not, and I wonder how much of it has to do with the fact, because I hadn't seen any of the Deadpool movies before I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. Well, I mean, I watched them before I watched it, but I only watched them because Deadpool and Wolverine was coming out, and FG wanted to go see it, so we watched the two movies together, and then we saw the third one. So I thought I was well prepared, but turns out it was arguably more important to watch the Wolverine movies and all the X-Men and all that kind of stuff than it was to watch the Deadpool movies. So I wonder how I would have reacted to it had I been more familiar with those movies. But as it stands, I don't really care much for Deadpool and Wolverine. Not that I was super big fans of the first two either. Have I ever played a Creature from the Krusty Krab before? I owned the game on Wii. I played it for about 5 seconds, and I wanted to throw up. But bear in mind, this is when I was like 4 or 5 years old. So, maybe if I replayed it again today, I would enjoy it more. But as it stands, I don't have very fond memories of that game. Oh, Truth is Square is another one that I don't think was very good. I keep forgetting how just how many SpongeBob games there are. So many of those damn things. Your sister didn't enjoy the Patrick Star game. I don't know how old your sister is, but if she's younger, I think that makes, like, I think kids would get a lot out of, because it's basically the basic way I can describe it for anyone who's never played the Patrick Star game before is that it's basically like GTA for kids. Patrick is set loose in this giant open world with lots of tasks to complete. He can steal police cars, he can assault people with power hoses and things like that. There's a bunch of crazy shit that he can do. And that's basically what the Patrick Star game is just do whatever the hell you want in Bikini Bottom. And there is a story, kind of. There's quests to complete. There's a big final confrontation with the Fry Cook games. So I imagine, you know, I think younger kids would definitely get a lot out of the Patrick Star game. But I most certainly didn't. What's worse, Stitch's Great Escape or the Lilo and Stitch remake? The Lilo and Stitch remake is worse. Stitch's Great Escape is a horrible attraction that got justifiably closed down because it was shit and no one wanted to do it. But it's ultimately fine. It's harmless. It's just like laughably bad because there's just nothing to it. Whereas Lilo and Stitch remake is actively offensive to me. So I'd probably say that one. Ohana means foster care. Yeah, Ohana means fuck you, basically. I had a whole rant about the Lilo and Stitch remake earlier in the video. I'm not gonna go through it again. But yeah, basically Ohana means fuck you. That's all there is to it. Favorite video game remake? If we're talking full from the ground up remakes and not remasters, I guess it might be Rehydrated. Because like Rehydrated is a very unpolished in a lot of areas, but it also 100% faithful to the original game. Well, I'll say like 90%. There's some parts that I'm not really a fan of, but it's generally speaking pretty faithful. I have a lot of respect. I respect Rehydrated more than I like it, even though I did love playing it and getting to experience all the levels again with upgraded visual, or maybe not upgraded, updated visuals. That was all pretty cool, and I respect how much it revitalized the BFBB community. It's just like I have very little reason to play it again over the. I do sometimes revisit Rehydrated just to have a different experience. Because that's the thing, it doesn't replace. I guess actually, I'd probably say Ocarina of Time 3D, even though I've never played the N64 version. That's something where, at least from what I've heard from people who have played the original, it kind of replaces it. Like there's little reason, I'm not gonna say no reason, but little reason to play the original Ocarina of Time when Ocarina of Time 3D exists. Which is not the case for Rehydrated. Rehydrated offers a different, even though it is technically the same game, it does offer a unique experience because the movement is different, the controls are slightly different. Levels are all the same, of course, but it has enough nuances to make it a different experience, which is why I might one day make a video comparing them and kind of highlighting the differences and trying to figure out what's... Because I think, if you don't know the game that well, you'd probably just say it's the same thing again with upgraded visuals. But if you are as familiar with the original game as I am, there's a lot of little things, just these little imperfections and nuances to how the game plays and how it controls that make it stand out enough to be its own experience. I'll tell you what's not the best one, though, is the fucking Until Dawn remake. That might be the worst. That might be the actual worst. I hated the Until Dawn remake so much. Absolutely embarrassing attempt at revitalizing that game. It upsets me. It saddens me to no end knowing that that might be some people's first ever experience with the Until Dawn remake. Another one that comes to mind is the Ratchet & Clank remake, which I'm of two minds on just because I have a lot of personal attachment to that game because it was the first game in the series that I played. But objectively speaking, it's a piss-poor adaptation of the original source material story. And even, like, gameplay-wise, it's fine. And the levels look pretty, certainly. It's got the PS4 horsepower behind it. But a lot of the levels are either completely different or just missing entirely. So yeah, I don't know. Thoughts on the Knights of Guinevere pilot a week later after it came out? The more I think about it, the more I like it. There's a lot of potential, a lot of theories to be had. I'm very pleased with the Knights of Guinevere pilot. Look at all those galaxies we unlocked. Thanks to you and your friends, all of the domes on the lower level are working again. Once the engine room on the upper level has power, the whole observatory will be working. Then the Comet Observatory will fly as a starship once again. And you will be able to fly to your special one in the center of the universe. And yeah, I'll save the game. Time to call it? Yeah, oh, wait. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from. It's from Luigi. Okay, we'll save Luigi and then we'll call it. We can't just leave Luigi hanging like that. I got a star, but now I can't get back. This picture shows where I am. Help me! I know where that is. Will I ever do a love letter for Battle for Bikini Bottom at some point? I think I'm more likely to do the video I was just talking about where I compare BFBB, the original, to Rehydrated. Kind of highlight some of those nuances that may otherwise be lost on a lot of people. But never say never, even though I just said it twice. There's always a possibility that I might want to do something like that. Who here is sick of seeing the Deadly Six in Sonic games? I haven't seen them enough to be sick of them, but I know a lot of people are sick of them. Thoughts on the original Ratchet & Clank? Great game. Clearly a dated game. The checkpoint system is actually abysmal. But the story is way better than it has any right to be. And the gameplay still holds up pretty well, considering its age. I really like the original. Because I had no understanding of why people were dissatisfied with the Ratchet & Clank remake because I had never played the original. But then when I did play the original, I was like, oh, I get it now. Oh, wow, you guys got fucked. Oh, you got so fucked. This is I finally understood, like, oh, the story, this isn't even... It's essentially like two completely different games. And you know what, actually? What happened to the Ratchet & Clank remake is what I'm afraid of happening if Disney were to ever dare to try to remake Toy Story. Because Ratchet, as a character in the original game, is kind of rough around the edges. He's not exactly a kid-friendly sweetheart. But that's a good thing. It gives him personality, makes him unique. But then in the remake, he was just completely sanitized to be as kid-friendly and brand-safe as possible, and he doesn't really have a character arc. And that's what I'm afraid of Disney doing if they were to ever remake Toy Story, is they would sand down all of Woody's rough edges and just make him extremely compelling and kind-hearted out of the gate, and have him have no real, like, make Buzz falling out the window be even more of an accident, to make sure Woody's as squeaky clean as possible. That's what I'd be afraid of them doing. But hopefully, it never comes to that. Hopefully, we never have to deal with Pixar, live action or not, remakes. Like, people talk about wanting to see an HD remake of Toy Story because of the animation aging, and I'm like, I don't, no. I don't, even ignoring the story, I do not have any faith in them maintaining, because there is a charm you may not like it, but there is a charm to Toy Story's visuals. It's not all of it, of course. Some of it doesn't look that great by modern standards, but a lot of it still does. A lot of it has a very cartoonish, exaggerated, caricatured charm to it that I really like. And I'm pretty sure if they were to remake it, all of that charm and soul would be lost and supplanted by the hyper-realistic vibe they are going for in movies like Toy Story 4 and Lightyear. And I wouldn't want to see the original be corrupted by that. Will I ever play the Sly Cooper games at some point? Yes! Gugonic has traded the Sly Cooper games with me, so I will play them at some point. Don't know when, but they are on the list. The constantly growing list of games that I need to play, or that I want to play. Did I see Wicked and am I excited for part 2? I did see Wicked. I liked it a lot more. I did not see Wicked of my own accord. I saw it because FG really wanted to see it. So I went with her to go see it. And I ended up liking it a lot more than I expected to. That being said, I'm still not super excited for the second part. I mean, I'm sure I'll go see it with her. But if I don't ever see it, I won't feel like I'm missing out on anything that I really want to. Wonder how he got himself trapped in there and managed to send a letter like that. Listen, Luigi defies the laws of time and space and logic. He's simply that powerful. Can I make lists of the films from every year I've been alive? I mean, not like right now, but I actually have a list. I made a notepad document a while ago of every film I've ever seen, because Avert has the same thing. He's like, you should make one. And I said, sure, why not? And I just keep updating that anytime I see a new movie. I guess I would just have to categorize everything in that list by the years in which everything came out. Do I have any plans on streaming after today? I'm thinking about going live because I kind of want to... I don't want to stop playing. I kind of want to keep going, but also I don't want to wear my voice out too much. So I probably should call it here, and then come back tomorrow, and we'll clear out the rest of the galaxies. Or, well, at least I was thinking about going... if I'm thinking about streaming tomorrow. Don't know if I'll commit to that, but I think I might want to, because I do want to keep playing this. And I think the happy medium between keeping going and stopping altogether is continuing tomorrow, so it's not too late after, but also I give my voice a little bit of a rest, because that's why I have a lot of respect. Well, one of many reasons why I have a lot of respect for teachers is because they have to give extensive lectures to kids like 5 or 6 times a day, 5 days a week, with very little breaks. The amount of vocal stamina you need to do that kind of thing consistently all year long is insane. Whereas even just doing one 3-hour live stream for me is enough to really wear my voice out. So, yeah, that's, how was my day? My day's been great. Just chilling with everyone, playing Mario Galaxy, talking about a bunch of cool stuff with a lot of cool people. I am feeling very, very happy today. I've been on New Disney World. I'll just talk with you guys for a bit before I sign off for today. I've been on the new Disney World ride since I was last there in 2019. That includes Slinky Dog Dash. I did ride Slinky Dog Dash, and I really like it. Even just ignoring the Toy Story aspect of it, I think it is a very approachable family coaster. It's like a step up from something more tame, like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train for kids. So if you're trying to work your kids up to being able to handle more intense roller coasters, that's a really good middle ground, because it launches you, it twists you. Well, I mean, it turns. Like, the turns are pretty steep. Goes up and down like Slinky's Coil going up and down. There's 2 launches. It's more intense than you would expect for a family coaster. You think people who are big fans of Toy Story actually made a live-action version and put the whole thing on YouTube? And that I respect. The reason I respect that, and I wouldn't respect if Disney actually made a live-action remake, is because, one, I know it wouldn't be live-action. It would, like, if they would never do what the people, those guys on YouTube did, where they did it meticulously through a combination of, like, stop motion and puppetry. They would never do that. They would just CGI everything, and that doesn't impress me. But what those guys did with a shoestring budget that's remarkable. That is dedication, it is passion, and it is talent. Which is not something that I would feel I would see in an actual proper Disney live-action remake. But yes, I have seen that. It's very impressive. What's better, Unfrosted or Mario Movie 93? Well, Unfrosted didn't give me a headache. So there's that. How often do I watch the Toy Story trilogy? Every couple months, I'd say. Like, this year, I've watched the trilogy twice. I watched it once in July after I finished making my... Well, no, not after I finished making my Toy Story 3 series. After I came back from vacation. Because the London trip I was telling you guys about earlier, that was what I did after... Like, I got on a plane to fly to London before I knew the Toy Story 3 series was clear, or the part 3 of Toy Story 3 was cleared for copyright. And then I was in London. I was on the tube with FG, refreshing my email, trying to see if it was cleared. And then I think we were in Liverpool Station. I think that's where we were. We were on the way to the BFI IMAX theater to go see Superman. And I had my laptop with me, and we stopped in the middle of the station, and I just sat on a bench. And as soon as the clock ticked over and all the copyright cleared, and I was literally doing last-minute metadata checks to publish the video, hunched over my little laptop in Liverpool Street Station so everyone could watch it. And then once it was out, then I shut my laptop, didn't think about it again for the rest of the trip, and we just had a fun time. Anyway, I completely got sidetracked there. So I watched it once after I came home from that trip, and I watched it again earlier this month, just because the original was coming back to theaters. So I figured, well, if I'm going to watch the first movie, then I may as well watch the other two as well. I'd say ordinarily I watch it, like, twice a year, I think, is pretty accurate. Because I think I watched, did I watch it twice last year? No, I watched it 3 times last year. I watched the trilogy once in April after I released my Owl House video. I watched it again in September. I think because I just finished my D23 video, and it put me in the mood to want to watch the movies again. And I watched it again in December because, I don't know, it's kind of a tradition to watch it in December, because obviously the first movie is very Christmas, well, not Christmas themed, but it ends during Christmas, so they play the Toy Story movies during the ABC 25 Days of Christmas thing, so I figure it makes sense. Would I ever do a love letter to Back to the Future? Possibly. If not that, then a love letter for the whole trilogy. Am I gonna see the new Fantastic Four movie eventually? Probably not, honestly. I just don't really care that much, but maybe someday. How was Superman? A lot better than I expected. How often do I watch Owl House? Not as often as you think. I've only seen the Owl House, I think, 5 times in total. I think 5 times in total, and the most recent time I watched it was earlier this year. I should watch it again, though. I've been having an itch to rewatch the Owl House in the aftermath of Knights of Guinevere. Will I ever do a love letter to Super Mario Galaxy 2? Probably not, actually. I feel like Galaxy 2 doesn't need my help to praise it. Best movie I've seen this year? I think it's probably Sinners. I struggle to decide between Sinners and Weapons. I might slightly prefer Weapons, but I think Sinners is probably the better made movie overall. I think I'll watch the Toy Story trilogy again in December. Probably. Will I ever do a love letter to Mission Impossible? Possibly. I certainly could make an extensive video about the Mission Impossible series, because I love those movies a lot. Thoughts on Spider-Man in general? He's pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it. I don't have particularly passionate feelings on the character, like a lot of other people do. How's the new rides at Epcot and Magic Kingdom like Tron Gardens Ratatouille? Okay, Tron is really fun, but it's way too short and never worth the wait. It peaks in the beginning with the launch, and then the rest of it is a pretty standard roller coaster. Guardians Cosmic Rewind, one of the best rides I've ever been on. I love that to bits, and I will ride it every single time I'm in Epcot. Ratatouille, it's all right. I appreciate that the ride's audio track plays in both English and French simultaneously. Like it oscillates between the two, but the ride mechanics itself, it feels like a worse version of a lot of Universal's screen-based simulators. How was Weapons? Weapons was a breath of fresh air in the horror genre. I loved it to bits. And it's a movie that I will continue to think about for a long time. I should check out Adventure Time. I have heard a lot of good things about Adventure Time. I might look into that at some point. What movie's better, Fallout or Back to the Future? I'd say Back to the Future is better than Mission Impossible Fallout. Okay, well, much though I would love to hang around and keep chatting with you all and answering questions, I should probably give my voice a little bit of a break. I think I am feeling like I'll come back tomorrow and stream, just so we can knock this out, because I'm probably not going to have much time to stream during the week, because I got to get things packed, because I'm flying away next weekend to go visit my family for my grandmother's 80th birthday. I had to stop myself for a second, because I'm like, it's technically a surprise party, so what are the odds that she's watching this right now? And I quickly calculated 0%, so I'm allowed to say that. But yeah, that's my plan for next weekend. So I gotta get packed before that happens. So I probably am gonna go live again tomorrow, same time as today, to finish this game out. Because we made good progress today. We cleared, this game has 6 domes, and we cleared 3 of them. And the 6th dome is the shortest in the game. So we should be able to... I don't think I'm going to do the bonus, like, post-game stuff. At least not on stream. But we should be able to at least finish the main game, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, final question I'll answer. Which Back to the Future sequel do I like more? I like 2 more than 3, but they're pretty interchangeable, because they both have different strengths and weaknesses. Okay, final question, I promise this time. New test track at Epcot, favorite test track they've ever had. It fits way more with the themes of Epcot, and I wanted to ride it again as soon as I got off it the first time. Okay, thank you all for watching today. I had a really fun time today. I think this is a good stream. Had fun playing the game, had fun talking with all of you. Hopefully you have a good rest of your Saturday, and I hope to see at least some of you tomorrow morning for some more Super Mario Galaxy. And also, thank you all for the early birthday wishes for my grandmother. That's very sweet. I appreciate that. Alright, thanks all for watching. Have a good day, everybody.